HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox had last night off. They'll try to stamp a 5-game losing streak this evening when they open up a 3-game weekend series in Atlanta. Lucas Giolito will pitch. Sox are 4 games under 500. They've dropped 11 of their last 16 overall. The New York Knicks remain alive in the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. They beat Indiana last night 111-94 at Madison Square Garden. Jalen Brunson scored 32 points. The Knicks now trail this best of 7, 3-2.
Just happy the way we responded, honestly. Yeah, we came out and we had some energy in the way we played, and just very proud of what we did. We just got to replicate it in the first quarter of the next game and then continue to build on that.
Game 6 will be tomorrow night in Indianapolis. The winner of this series will play in Oklahoma City in Game 1 of the NBA Finals this coming Thursday night. In hockey news, we have a rematch of the Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton finished off Dallas in 5 games last night, 6-3. Connor McDavid, a breakaway goal and an assist. And for the second straight season, the Oilers will play Florida for the Cup. It begins in Edmonton on Wednesday night. The Seattle Kraken have hired former New York Islanders head coach Lane Lambert. That leaves the Bruins and Pittsburgh as the only 2 teams with a vacancy. And round 3 of the French Open tennis tournament is beginning as we speak in Paris. Men's 2-seed Carlos Alcaraz will play this afternoon. Women's top seed Aryna Sabalenka will get underway in about 10 minutes. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does this sound like you? Visit CatchesLaw.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
To us, Boston pride runs deep.
I'm a Bostonian!
This is Boston's Home for Sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
When has that been necessary to fact check?
and Hardy
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
on 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT going up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag.
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
I love you. And I think you know that. Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fence and having some fun.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Pay, pay, pay. No, I won't, 'cause I'm best friends with the Wong father. Ho!
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Just subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and watch us live. Joe Murray's on at night. There's videos of every show. Lengthy clips, short clips, you name it. They're up there. 617-779-0985. On Friday, everybody, everyone's working for the weekend. We got 7:30.
Ho!
Love Boy coming up to take you home. Mr. Slate, raise that horn. That's right, Arthur P. Bert Breer's going to be in today. We have when Hardy talked to Gronkowski and Ninkovich. We have all these things coming up. But it was a very special day for Hardy yesterday. He had his daughter's prom.
Oh,
Yes. Senior prom last night. I don't remember doing anything for my prom other than driving to my date's house, picking up my date, going to prom, whatever it is we did afterward, and that's it. You know.
Did you make love?
Oh, I'm glad you phrased it that way, Fred. And you know what we did? Because we were a couple of kids and we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. We were making love out of nothing at all. You know, it truly was, in every sense of the phrase, love making. Now for prom, there are multiple things leading up to the prom. First, there are the promposals. Do you know what a promposal is, John?
I would assume an extravagant way for the guy to ask the girl to prom with him.
And if, let's say, the girl and the guy go to two different schools, the girl then has to do a promposal to the boy to go to her prom.
Sure.
Right? Because there's two proms.
Right.
And, so there's essentially a host of each one. So there were two promposals going on. Then there's the gathering of the juggalos.
Right.
Hours before the prom for the photos.
Uh-huh.
Now, my wife is a gracious host. So we did this last year for the junior prom. We did it again this year with our daughter's blessing, of course. This was not her idea. Katie actually said, it'd be great if we could do pictures at our house. We said, fine. So Marcy had a woman come over and do like this balloon arch sculpture thing that they could stand in front of, because you just can't stand there and have your picture taken. There needs to be some kind of a background to it.
You work so hard on your lawn and shrubbery and all that stuff in front of your house. Why not have a kid stand right in front of that?
How about in front of those new beds that I won't say I mulched, but
Doesn't matter how the mulch got there. It's there. It's there. You paid for it. Why not put it to dang good use?
That mulch was put down 3 days ago.
Exactly.
Let's get a really good professional photo of it here.
So that's not good enough for your wife.
And thankfully, because I think I would have had to have drawn the line at a professional photographer. No, there's no professional photographers. But when I say all of her friends, it's not just her friends. It's her parents. Some of the dates that her friends were bringing, of course, they all showed up, and some of their parents were there.
Yeah.
So we've got, I don't know how many people there last night, which is fine. I like that part. And as you get older, you don't get a chance to interact as much with your kids' friends' parents, and especially for us, since we moved to that town late. I find that, you become really good friends with your kids' elementary school friends' parents, because you're all in it together, and, you're scheduling play dates and all this stuff. Now, we're not as close. But so it's good to see all those people. All right, this is all at 3:30 in the afternoon, you understand, because they have to be at the school by 4:30. Why do they have to be at the school? For the promenade. Okay, so now everybody gathers, and you take all your pictures, and you do all your thing. Then everybody goes to the high school, not just because they're all taking buses to the prom destination, but what they do after you've already seen everybody, and everybody's already met and gathered up, and then all the kids go inside to the school and then walk out 2 at a time to get on the buses. Never mind the fact that we've all seen you. We've all seen you either at the house or standing around outside. Now they have to walk 2 by 2 down this parted pathway and
to stroll.
Yeah. And I said to Fred this morning, I'm like, I would love to be able to ask my dad right now, hey, Dad, what do you remember about my prom? And I'm sure he would say, did you go to prom? There's nothing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I drove to my date's house, picked her up, and we went to prom, and there was it. It started with, them getting ready and last minute things. Oh, I need this, I need that. Her friends going back and forth. Around the time I got home yesterday, it had already started. So from noon until, she stayed over at a friend's house last night. So, this whole prom thing is 24 hours, let's call it. Holy crap. And then we got another one next week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It's great.
So this was hers, or was this his?
This was Katie's school's prom last night, and then she's going to her date's prom on Monday night.
Because there's a graduation party at your house coming up on Sunday.
Week from Sunday.
Oh, it's a week from Sunday. Oh,
yeah, because
bad.
Graduation is until a week from tomorrow.
I gotta fix that in my cozy.
You can swing on by on Sunday too if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Probably doing a little work around the yard, in preparation.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things to do.
Just 2 dudes kicking back. discussing landscaping.
So you have, I think you specifically, John, with
Yes.
2 boys might have a little less in the way of, having to deal with this stuff because there seems to be less getting ready and less,
Yes.
to do with this stuff.
Yes.
And Fred, you'll be out of you'll be in the clear for about 3-4 more years, but then
Well, Milo's school, he doesn't, he's a sophomore, so he doesn't have prom. It's a senior prom. It's at school, and parents have to drop off and pick up, which is kind of weird, in my opinion. Like, you have to have,
Interesting.
I guess, liability or whatever, like parents. So I take it, but it's weird because if you have to, or a parent has to pick kids up, like a parent of a kid at school has to pick kids up, I take it then you take them somewhere else and drop them off, which seems kind of weird to me. Like you're the one taking them. I'd rather just like limo do it, but you're the one taking them to like wherever they're going.
I guess, and the way they do it now with like everyone meeting at the school, they get on a bus, and the prom was at Granite Links. And again, my prom wasn't at any place like Granite Links. It was at like a function hall of some kind that essentially it was like a prom factory.
It was at the Beachcomber. It was another great place in Quincy.
But so them all getting on a bus at the school, I guess they can check this, whatever they're checking for, drugs, weapons, contraband of any kind. So at least they know, all right, there's some semblance of, all right, we're going to get you there safe. We're going to get you back to some point safe. And then after that, you're on your own. So it's not, completely helicoptering these kids, for the entire prom night. But it's more than what we had, which was literally, you just get yourself there and get yourself home. You'll be fine.
Yeah, we had a limo, and we had a hotel. So we went to the hotel, and I told you the story is that the girl I was dating was in the lobby of the hotel when we got there, and my date flipped out. And I guess rightly so. But in my mind, it didn't matter because I wasn't dating my date. She'd asked me to prom like 3 months before that. So that's all I remember about that. I remember our limo driver because we had used him before. And he had offered us before women with no teeth. For a good time, he had offered us several things.
Was that
driver was really cool. I can't remember his name. But we had used him on like a couple of occasions. Because like before we had driver's license, we got a limo, let's say 3 times. That includes prom. We got in a limo to like go somewhere all together. And I don't remember very much about prom either. I don't remember. I know we took pictures because I have a picture from prom, but I don't remember. And I remember my friend Mike Corridor's date didn't go to our school, and she was super, super hot. Those are the things that I remember. And but I remember the hotel. I don't remember anything about the prom. I don't remember if they fed us. I don't remember where it was. I don't remember anything about it. I mean, I'm glad I went, so I can say I went. John, I take it you didn't go to prom.
I did go to prom.
Oh,
that was just mean.
Now, were you the entertainment?
No, I was not.
Well, Ben has a good question.
My magic act didn't go over well.
Ben, go. Well, listen. At least you got your expenses paid. Ben, go ahead.
Freddie, baby.
Hello, Benjamin.
YouTube loves you. Everybody loves you. Mr. Wallach.
Yes.
What was it like going to the prom in that horse-drawn carriage of yours? And then, of course, the song from the most popular song in the 20s was Bye Bye Blackbird. Did you feel that was a tribute to you, sir?
No, Maple Leaf Rag. That was the theme of the prom. That's
Well, that's
Scott Joplin himself showed up to play it.
That's what John had to throw away to get to be able to have sex with his date.
God.
Because back then they used maple leaves.
I see, because the condom hadn't been invented yet. Yeah. I see. Yeah.
No, that's not actually what you see at all. That's not what I'm talking about. They not invented cotton.
Yeah.
Sanitary napkins, John.
I see. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's the maple leaf rag, you see.
Got it.
Well, very good. Did she have you? I take it you didn't bother her last night, so she's probably still
No, Marcy texted her when I guess prom was, it had obviously a scheduled start and end time. So once it was over and she knew they were going to be back on the bus, I think that's when Marcy texted her, "Did you have fun? Blah, 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 blah." Yeah, it was great. So. And
they stayed at someone's house?
Katie and her friends, they all went to, a girlfriend's house and stayed there last night.
Now, was it at least like a cool lake house or something? Or was it just someone's house?
It's someone's house, but next week is the issue that I told you guys about before. And I'm hesitant to even bring it up because it's gotten so much worse. It's gotten so much worse, this idea of what they're going to do after the second prom, which is go to a cool lake house, which I was told was, it's in Maine. It's only like an hour and a half away. No. I plugged it into Maps 2 nights ago. I said, hold on a second. Because the thing is, she can't go right after the prom. She has to go to school the next day for another thing that we never did, which is you have to walk the halls. You put on your cap and gown days before graduation. You walk the halls in your cap and gown. You say one final goodbye to all your teachers. Then you go to a previous school of your choice in the district. So if you want to go to the middle school and walk the halls in your cap and gown, you can do that. If you want to go to your elementary school, you do that. Maybe you can do both. But this is a thing that all the seniors are expected to do. That's the day after the second prom. So she can't go up the night with all the other kids who are going to this lake house in Maine. She has to go to school the next day. So she asked me, I don't want to drive up there on my own. Would you take me up there? I'm like, what is it, an hour and a half, 2 hours? And I said, yeah, I don't want you to miss out on it. Fine, I'll take it. The other night, it was, 8, 9 o'clock. I said, what's the address of this place we're going to? And I plugged it into my phone. At night, you understand, with no traffic, 3 hours, 9 minutes to get to this joint. It's up near Augusta. It's way up there. It's well past Portland. I mean, it's hell and gone. So I was and her date is like in a similar position. He's supposed to be at his school the next day. So I was talking to his mom last night. I'm like, what are we going to do? We got to talk them both out of this thing. Like, for a variety of reasons. I don't love this idea, but even with a big group of kids, it'll be fine. And the parents are going to be there, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to drive. I don't want to drive that. I'd have to take a day off work next week. And I'm trying to tell my daughter not to put any more stress on your plate, princess. I know you got a couple of problems to think of. And this, it is important. I get it. But you got to tell me if you're actually going to do this thing. Because if I'm going to be a part of this thing, I got to make plans for Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Or whenever the hell this is supposed to be going on.
You've decided against the car service?
I looked it up. It's not cheap.
No, but I mean, if it's better than driving her up there and dropping her off and driving back. And then do you have to get her the next day too?
No. She would get a ride home, obviously.
Right. Yeah. I would rather, I don't care what the expense is. I would rather pay the expense.
Yeah, I'm with Fred on this one.
Yeah,
it's worth every
7 hours
penny for you
round
not
trip.
to have to do that.
Yeah. I mean, money is money, but I mean, that's what money's for.
Consider it an investment in your sanity.
Yeah, I mean, if money is for anything, it's so you don't have to drive 7 hours round trip.
And thank you for saying that,
crazy.
because I have a tendency to exaggerate, especially when I'm trying to prove a point or win an argument. But I said 7 hours, and I got it's not 7 hours. I said, look, 3 hours, 9 minutes, and that's leaving at 8:30 at night. What do you think it's going to be at noon on Tuesday?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, at noon on a Tuesday? Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. I mean, you might as well just write it off. I mean, you're talking about 4.5 hours.
Maybe stop in Portland for lunch.
I mean, even if it was...
Oh, you know what, John? Yes, good idea. I didn't want to do it until John brought up the option of stopping for lunch.
Even if it was $1,200 or something, I would. That's what money's for.
Maybe I'll start a GoFundMe.
You should.
Katie's ride up to her post-prom party.
You should. Mm-hmm. And it's only one way. Yeah, so I can't imagine it's $1,200 for one way.
But it's got to be that is factored into the cost, because even though he's not driving the person back, he's still got to drive back.
Sort of, yeah, but not completely. I'm guessing you could do that for maybe a little over $500.
Yeah, 500 was essentially the get-in price that I was quoted.
Oh yeah, dude. That's, I mean, not saying $500 is, not annoying, but I mean, just don't go out to eat if you want to justify it yourself, don't go out to eat for 2 weeks. I mean, that's what $500 is for.
I can live a lot longer. I'm dining out than 2 weeks on $500. Shoosh.
Well, listen, I mean, you're
Hold the
obviously not
pickle,
going
hold
to
the lettuce.
you're obviously not going to Chinese. All right.
Have you also got a little sticker shock at your Chinese food bill in the last, I don't know, several months, maybe year?
Well, I mean, if there's 3 of us with tip, it's over $100.
Oh,
I mean, that's how much food costs. I mean, that's just how much it costs. This isn't.
I imagine Milo is not a picky eater when it comes to portion size. The boy probably can put it away.
Well, he's got to now. Like, he's got to force himself to eat more now. So, but the best is going to that club because that minimum I have to get through. So we're Blues Brothers the thing. We're like getting everything on the menu and just having it on the table and getting it boxed up and stuff. All right. Very good. We'll be back. Several things happened last evening. We can get to them in just a moment.
catch a game last night.
Toucher and Hardy, what happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened, so change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR.
The Indiana Pacers had a chance to close things out last night in New York and send Knicks fans home with a playoff exit. Instead, Jalen Brunson showed up, started shooting from every one of his favorite spots early last night, and the Knicks built themselves an early lead that continued well into the first half.
Towns double team far corner finds McBride. Left corner three is good in front of the Pacer bench. 5-point Knick lead.
56-45 at the half. Again, Jalen Brunson with a really strong start, and then he would get plenty of help.
Towns lumbers in, hits a right-hand layup and one. Karl Anthony Towns extends the Knick lead to 11, their largest of the night, and a free throw's coming up.
Did you hear what I heard there, John?
He lumbers. He lumbers in. That's about right.
Don't shut.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't look like much. And again, when you see it live, he's moving quicker than you think. But on TV,
he's incredibly skilled. He's an all-star. He's 11 years old, that guy. He acts like he's 11 on the floor. It's amazing.
He got caught on the in their own end a couple of times last night, and the Pacers did get it to within maybe 10 late in the game, and a couple of times it was because Karl Anthony Towns is down in the other end. Oh man, I wanted to block that shot. I didn't do it. I'll get down there in a second.
There was a play. The Knicks got the ball in a turnover with like 9/10 of a second left, and Towns had been on the bench for about 5 minutes with 4 fouls. And Stan Van Gundy, who's calling the game for ESPN, TNT, whatever, TNT, I guess, said they were put Towns back in the game with 8/10 of a second left. He said, I would not put Towns in the game right now. I'm paraphrasing, but he's dumb enough to have some pick up his 5th foul here. If I'm going to set a play, I would just have him stand there, not set a screen. The odds of him picking up a foul, setting an illegal screen are high. So Stan Van Gundy's aware.
Yeah, just going in and doing something to mess this up. Like, just don't,
Yeah.
I got a good idea for a song. Let's not do the solo there. Let's just not mess it up. You got a good thing going in this game. You're gonna force a game 6, and it felt that way early on. Don't put anybody out there who's gonna mess it up. Don't put anybody out there who's gonna get in Jalen Brunson's way.
Towns on a one-hand pass to the right side for Brunson. Catch and shoot three. He got it. Brunson from the far side angle. He's got 22 points, and the Knicks have a game-high 16-point lead.
But in fairness, Towns was the best. I mean, Towns played better than anyone last night on the court.
But Jalen Brunson early on is the one who got them out in front.
Early on,
established it.
But Towns, if you were watching basketball for the first time, you would think Towns was the best player on that team last night. In the game in totality, absolutely.
24 points, 13 rebounds. He's a good player. He's a really good player.
I know he's a bit of a liability defensively, but
Yes.
I mean, Towns, I know what you're saying about the fouls, but in fairness to everyone on that team, I mean, they need Towns. In fact, I think a running storyline through this series is if Towns has a big game, they're going to win. If Towns isn't aggressive and doesn't have a big game, they're going to lose. Like, Towns is I know Brunson's really good and their best player, but Towns in this series, I would argue, for the Knicks is the more important player. Like, the more he gets off and the more he forces the issue offensively, the better off they are. Because they can shoot threes. I mean, they're not very good at shooting threes. That's a fact.
Last night, again, they struggled.
Yeah,
It's true.
and so, it was an example of if you're a Celtics fan, it could kind of make you frustrated because the Knicks were up, 18 points. Then Indiana goes on a 9-1 run.
Yeah.
And but they would get a 2-point basket, right? Like Towns would get fouled or something like that. That's all you need to do in those situations. In the fourth, up by that much, is just make a basket here or there. You can turn the ball over a couple times, just get a basket about once a minute and you're fine.
How many times did you say that and we say that watching the Celtics? In the
Well,
postseason?
that's why I said if you're a Celtics fan, it's got to be very frustrating because you really just need a basket.
Yep.
And, you just want to grab Towns and just go be aggressive. Like, just get to the rim. Just find a way to get to the rim. And he did last night.
The other story of the game from Indiana's side was Aaron Nesmith, who did not shoot the ball well, and Rick Carlisle barely played him in the second half. And in the game before this one, Nesmith did a really good job on Jalen Brunson. Really good. I mean, the advanced stats, Brunson scored, I guess, 30 points, but when Nesmith was on him, he really struggled in Game 4. Game 5, he played him a little bit in the first half. I think he had 16 minutes for the game. He wasn't shooting the ball well, but you need him at the other end. There aren't many guys that can stay with Brunson. Nesmith is as good as there has been in the playoffs. And Carlisle said, well, Mathurin got his game going, and, we wanted to ride that. If I'm Carlisle, I don't care how poorly Nesmith's shooting the basketball. You keep him out there. If he can. If he's healthy enough, he's got the ankle. But according to Carlisle, that might not necessarily have been the problem.
So what's the bigger problem? Was it Nesmith going 1 for 8 from the field or Tyrese Halliburton attempting 7 shots last night?
Yeah, Halliburton wasn't good.
7?
Yeah, the Halliburton wasn't good. The Pacers weren't good defensively for some reason last night. Yeah, just bad all around. I mean, I don't know if they play this bad again. You heard the story about how John Cougar Mellencamp did not like what Pat McAfee did before that Pacers game.
No, I did not.
Well, I guess Mellencamp goes to most of the Indiana games. He's from Indiana, if you didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was born in a small town. I know that.
And he can breathe there.
Yeah.
Finally.
He'll not to speed up his demise, he'll probably die in a small town. That's probably where they'll bury him.
Well, if he dies, they'll probably be sucking on a chili dog.
Outside of like a Dairy Queen?
No, it's a Tasty Freeze.
Oh, a Tasty Freeze.
Yeah.
But he, rightly so, he was like, this is not how Indiana is, and not like, and then Ben Stiller was interviewed about it, about Pat McAfee. Remember when he grabbed the mic and started doing the wrestling thing?
Yeah.
And Ben Stiller didn't know who he was, and then asked if he was like a wrestler. And they're like, he's not a wrestler, but he does something like that. He goes, okay, I guess that makes sense. And then he, without being like disparaging to Indiana, was kind of like, that's some small town, nonsense. That's, let's get him. Let's get the big city folk, like that class warfare. Like, okay, I think courtside seats to a Pacers game, probably about $10,000 for a playoff game. I don't think this is a bunch of farmers like sitting there chewing on hayseeds.
But it probably speaks to the team more than anything, because all the Pacers, they're all from Indiana.
Right.
They all.
Well, most basketball players are. I mean, there's Larry Bird, and then there was a guy named Larry Bird that played. His brother, was good until he let it all catch up to him.
Tyrese Halliburton taking ownership after the game of his. Let's see, he was 4 or 5 from the free throw line. Those 4 points accounted for half of his offensive output last night. 8 points. So, Tyrese.
But yeah, I got to be better, and I'll be better in Game 6. But I watch the film and learn from it like I always try to do, and be prepared for Game 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I did.
He turned into Adolfo.
Yeah. Are you prepared? Did you prepare?
No.
Fred, there's a movie it's a Japanese movie about mindfulness. There's very little dialogue. It's about a guy who cleans toilets and then goes to the park afterwards and looks at the trees.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, do you, Adolfo?
That would be an Adolfo's that'll be an Adolfo's headstone. Did you prepare? No.
No.
Nah. I read the back of the Kierkegaard book.
Yes.
I understood 7 words.
Am I a bad boy?
There will be a Game 6 Saturday night back in Indiana. So.
And then if Indiana wins, we get to wait, 5 more days, 6 more days
Hey,
until we start this thing.
If Indiana would have won last night, they would have been
A week.
7 days.
Yeah,
so
Been a week layoff.
I mean, the NBA's got to be thrilled. I mean, no, they have to be thrilled.
You get one more Knick game. Yeah.
Yeah, you get another Knick game because really no one's going to care about that. I'm quite positive no one's going to care about that Oklahoma City Indiana series. And again, I heard talk that since the NBA has had that, start in the run in the 80s and everything after those things were tape delayed because the NBA was always a, afterthought. Look at even those great Celtics teams during the Arbach run. Those games didn't sell out. Like, they couldn't sell out the Garden for those games.
There's a very famous photo of Tommy Heinsohn raising by himself the championship banner. He's holding the strings and raising it. And you look back, and there's no one in the crowd behind him.
Right.
And which means one of two things. One, no one came to the game. Or two, they did it before they let people in, which is worse.
Yeah, I did the book tour a little bit with Bob Ryan. People weren't at those games.
No.
I mean, you know the story. Bob Ryan, the team would ask him to go out to dinner because they didn't have an expense account, and Bob Ryan had the Globe expense account.
Yeah,
so
that was in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, so or maybe even the 60s. So he was able to, to maybe the early 70s, but he was able to take those guys out. So he was kind of like a member of the team. The coaches would show him what their game plans were and all that stuff. So Bob had this incredible access to those teams. And I was hearing yesterday, just to, we always think that we're the only ones who ever lived, and like everything that's now, it will always be now. I was hearing something yesterday. They were talking about the French Open, and the person was from Europe, and they were saying the biggest sports in Europe are, of course, soccer's number 1, tennis is 2, and cycling's 3. So, I mean, think about that. Like, and that's... the Premier League is, I believe, maybe the most popular league in the world.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that just sounds right. I don't know if it's something else, like whatever, Barcelona plays in, like whatever. Maybe it's one of those, but suffice it to say, like, soccer has the biggest league, whichever one it is. I don't follow soccer, but yeah, it's just interesting that we always just assume, well, this is how things are always going to be. Like, these are going to be the popular sports forever. And read any book from a guy covering sports in the 40s and 50s, it was baseball, boxing, and horse racing. And 2 of those things no one cares about anymore.
Right.
And the other ones are headed to about a 2-year lockout coming up, so enjoy that. All right, we'll take a break, get to the headlines, and then I know that now you know who's going to be in the Stanley Cup final, and
we also have an
things.
interesting stat for you, Fred.
Oh, I love it.
Interesting stat for you.
And you know what? Wallach paid off on this one. Yeah, I asked him to ask me in the form of a trivia question this statistic, and there was no way, if you had given me 100 guesses, I would have not gotten the answer to it. So it's... So
you knew the answer?
No.
You didn't know the answer?
No, because the actual numbers involved in this statistic are eye-popping.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go, Johnny
You're
boy.
going to like this one. Yeah.
There you go. All right. We will have that for you in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox had last night off. They opened up a 3-game series in Atlanta this evening. Lucas Giolito will pitch. Red Sox have lost 5 in a row at the NBA playoffs. The Knicks beat Indiana 111-94 to force a Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Edmonton beat Dallas last night 6-3 to win the NHL's Western Conference Finals in 5 games. They host Florida in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals on Wednesday night. And round 3 of the French Open tennis tournament underway in Paris. Men's 2-seed Carlos Alcaraz among your third-round men who are participating. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Super Service Today, Massachusetts' #1 provider for residential and commercial plumbing, heating, cooling, and drain cleaning, day or night, and always done right. Visit superservicetoday.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Whoa.
crack in my windshield? Seriously?
At AutoglassNow.com, they know that a cracked windshield can be a pain in the glass. But don't worry, they've got you covered. Autoglass Now provides fast and reliable repairs. Call or visit Autoglass Now and they'll get you scheduled today.
Autoglass Now gets you Autoglass Now.
Set yourself up for success. Their locally owned Benjamin Moore store proudly serves the New England area with more than just paint. They're here to support you and help you find everything you need to bring your projects to life. From expert advice to premium products, they'll help you every step of the way. Enjoy exceptional service and explore a selection of beautiful paint colors designed for lasting results. Visit Johnson Paint today and experience the difference that Benjamin Moore's quality products and personalized guidance can make.
Hey, it's Zoe. Spring savings at the Albrecht Auto Group? Yes, sir. This month at Woburn Toyota, lease a 2025 Corolla LE all-wheel drive for just $160 a month for 36 months with $39.99 down. Or just buy it for $23,044. That's over $1,500 below MSRP. Albrecht has the perfect ride for you. Whether it's new or pre-owned, get your next vehicle where I got mine. Swing by any one of the 8 dealerships and connect with Albrecht. Find your next car at albrechtauto.com. See dealer for details. Offer expires 6/2/25.
You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
The following commercial does not reflect the views or opinions of this station or company and is paid for by the Department of Homeland Security.
An illegal alien from Guatemala charged with raping a child in Massachusetts. An MS-13 gang member from El Salvador accused of murdering a Texas man. A Venezuelan charged with filming and selling child pornography in Michigan. These are just some of the heinous migrant criminals caught because of President Donald J. Trump's leadership. I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Under President Trump, attempted illegal border crossings are at the lowest levels ever recorded, and over 100,000 illegal aliens have been arrested. If you are here illegally, you're next. You will be fined nearly $1,000 a day, imprisoned, and deported. You will never return. But if you register using our CBP Home app and leave now, you could be allowed to return legally. Do what's right. Leave now. Under President Trump, America's laws, border, and families will be protected.
Sponsored by the United States Department of Homeland Security. This commercial does not reflect the views or opinions of this station or company and was paid for by the Department of Homeland Security.
If you have a lot of shopping to do for summer, then you're actually in luck. Because at Macy's, the latest designer trends are here now. From swim and sandals to match sets and linen suits, all for 20% off. But get this, spend $100 and get 25% off. Spend $200 and get 30% off. 30%. So the bigger your summer, the better. Because the more you buy, the more you save. But hurry, it all ends Sunday at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Hey, Big Jim here with Mike Albert's son, Logan, from Premier Basement Waterproofing. If you find water, Logan's going to come give you a quote so you never have to worry again.
You got that right, Big Jim. Especially if you're moving into a new home or finishing your basement. Have me come before you do anything.
Plus, you'll add great value to your home as well. So don't you dare call anyone else.
No way. We're the only direct vendor of ion pumps and high-octane drainage systems in New England.
Call 844-LIVE-DRY or visit premierbasement.net.
Nobody will ever say it like Mike, but here I go. It's game over for water.
Final, please, John.
Final, sorry.
Okay. Well, he played for Florida. I don't think he played for Edmonton. What does he have to do with the Stanley Cup final this year? Jaromir Jagr.
It involves a streak that has to do with Jaromir Jagr.
The panties I keep in my lawn to prove they're no pregnant.
How does that prove there's no pregnancy?
It says, look what just happened. There's a streak.
Oh,
It should make a no streak. Jagr played in back-to-back finals for two different back-to-back finals. Is it something like that?
It has more to do with the players on both teams playing in the final.
Oh, everyone on both. A certain amount of players played with Jagr in their career.
You're sniffing around it.
Okay,
Yep.
so it is not the number of players; it is a streak of sorts.
Okay, there have been the last 30 Stanley Cup Finals has featured a one-time teammate of Jagr's.
You're almost right on it. More than that.
40.
More.
45.
It's the 45th straight year that a former teammate of Jagr's has played in the Stanley Cup Finals. 45 straight years.
Yes, Jagr, yes. Bradley Marchand, you're one. All right. The puff. I left the pubes everywhere from here to Timbuktu. The locker room in the Panthers dressing room still clogged with the Jagr.
I like metal.
I love Trans Ams. I love the mall. And those are things he actually loved when he first came here. I love heavy metal, Bon Jovi. That's what he says. That's actually what he says.
For America.
Yeah, there's a news clip of him in Pittsburgh. They're talking about when he first got there, and they would just take him to the mall. He was like 19, and they would just take him to the mall, and he'd go, blue jeans and rock and roll. I love blue jeans. I love blue jeans and rock and roll.
40
Which rock and roll? Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi. Heavy metal.
Heavy metal. Bon Jovi.
45 straight years. Where
at least one.
Someone in the Stanley Cup final had played with, not against, with Jaromir Jagr.
Now, you're right about Marchand, but oddly enough, he's not the only one.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I mean, I could try to think, but I mean, he played on Florida, but that was a long time ago.
He only, believe it or not as long as you think. Sasha Barkov, the Panthers captain, played with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
in Florida.
Yes. In Florida.
It's unbelievable. I mean, yeah, he had a really long career, but to think he had to play on a lot of teams and have...
he played on 8 or 9 teams after he left Pittsburgh. I mean, and he only retired like 7 or 8 years ago.
I'm not even positive it was 7 or 8 years ago. It might have been even more recently.
Yeah.
That he completely... Now, he still plays.
Yes, he actually scored 3 or 4 goals for Kladno at the KHL this year.
Yeah, so he still plays.
He's like 54.
Yeah, he's older than me. He's older than me by like a little bit, too. So, yeah, and he's still out there playing. It's how I stay one step removed from the make love. You know, I put it on ice for a half hour. Well, that's interesting. Jagr that long a career. Good for him.
Yeah, 2018 was the 17-18 season, I think, was his last year in the league with Calgary.
Okay. Oh, so it is 7 years. Okay. There you go.
But then he went to Kladno.
Yeah.
Where he's been since 2000.
Claude? No. Only the Dobronsky sisters. Claude, get out. No, get out. we're going to the cliff to sit and make love. What is this you're handing me? It's a package. It says something circular in it. Whoops, it flew out the window. The hip game very, very, very strong.
So last night, Edmonton, they were in Dallas with a chance to get their way into the Stanley Cup final where they would face the Florida Panthers in a rematch. Would they be able to do it? Well, they still got Connor McDavid, so yeah, probably.
Blocked by Ekholm. That'll lead to a breakaway for Connor McDavid. He's in and he scores! Connor McDavid drags it back to his forehand. And Edmonton has regained a 2-goal lead in Game 5.
That would make it 4-2, and that would be all they would need for the eventual game winner there, as they would go on to get the win 6-3 last night. So it's a rematch for the first time since 2009, a rematch in the Stanley Cup final. It'll be Edmonton and the Florida Panthers. When did they start, John?
Wednesday night. 7 games last year between the two teams. Florida won the first 3, Edmonton won the next 3, and then Florida won 2-1 in Game 7 last year.
Yeah, so it should be a good series. That's actually, and it's Edmonton has home ice, so
yeah,
should be interesting.
Unlike last year, so
we were talking about the difference between watching the Stanley Cup final and the NBA finals this year. Last night, we were discussing with someone who cares about these things. Say you had sold advertising in the next playoff round for the Celtics, right? Let's say you had almost guaranteed your advertiser that their commercials would run during the Celtics conference finals. Not only did that person have to make good with commercials in this conference finals, but the other conference finals and in hockey and in draft coverage by a factor of about 10 to make up for the loss in viewership experienced by having the Celtics not in there. 10 times the amount of commercials had to be placed to make up for the Celtics not being there.
Is this a television thing?
It is a television thing.
I would think, because it's so, the way the television advertising now is, it's so direct to customer, like it's so catered, bespoke to these like certain
zip
areas,
codes and neighborhoods.
Yeah, which I'm not positive. Isn't the point of advertising kind of, it's not a call to action like that time? It's kind of like just having it in your mind. Isn't that the value of it? Like, you go, why does Coca-Cola advertise? Everyone knows Coca-Cola.
Top of mind awareness.
Exactly. I would guess it's top of mind awareness. You only get that by saturation. Like, I don't know. It makes sense that you can go, okay, well, my business is in Attleboro, and I'm going to advertise on streaming services or local cable that's in Attleboro. But I think you're better off just having kind of like a universal message that's just, you associate things, like you associate an insurance with the insurance company you heard the ad so much of. Like, I think that's what's the most valuable thing about advertising. I know it is for me. That or hearing an endorsement, and I'm not just saying that. I remember one time I got LifeLock because I heard Dan, and I don't even like Dan Patrick that much, but I heard Dan Patrick reading about it, so I'm like, oh, it must be legit. Like, hearing someone that you listen to talking about a product in a personal way, I think is the most effective way. If you're just bang for your buck, and then other than that, I would just saturate. All right, Bert Breer should be here soon. We'll talk to him.
and women in the trip.
It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essentials, presented by Celsius.
Sox had last night off. They'll try to end a season-high 5-game losing streak this evening when they open up a 3-game series at Truist Park against Atlanta. Sox are 4 games under 500 on the season and 4 games out of a playoff spot. The New York Knicks are still alive in the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. They beat Indiana last night 111-94 at Madison Square Garden. They now trail 3-2, Game 6 in Indianapolis tomorrow night. In hockey news, Edmonton is headed back to the Stanley Cup Finals.
He and McDavid are the top 2 scorers, and the centering pass is flipped home by Corey Perry. The setup from McDavid. Perry finishes, and at age 40, Corey Perry has 7 playoff goals, and Edmonton takes a 1-0 lead in Game 5.
That is Oilers Radio. Edmonton finished off Dallas in 5 games last night, 6-3. Connor McDavid had a goal and that assist, and for the second straight season, the Oilers will play Florida for the Stanley Cup beginning on Wednesday night. The Seattle Kraken have hired former New York Islanders head coach Lane Lambert. That leaves the Bruins and Pittsburgh as the only 2 teams with a vacancy. And the NCAA baseball tournament begins today and tonight. Northeastern will take a 27-game winning streak into a first game against Mississippi State this evening. Holy Cross will visit number 5 North Carolina at noon. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts' leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is elongating.
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
Well, it's something that we're aware of, and obviously we want to make great decisions on and off the field. And we're hoping that with our time here on the field today, and that when we don't have a script and we're on the call-up periods, that we're making great decisions. And so the message will be the same for all our players, that we're trying to make great decisions, and any conversations that I've had with Stefan will remain between him and I and the club.
Table talking about Stefan Diggs, who was on a boat, and there were 2 good-looking girls and another one, and they were fondling a bag of pink powder. You know, Vrabel seemed a little annoyed that he wasn't there, but again, it's May. Still interested in what's in that bag. Everyone thinks they know, and people zoomed in on it and said, oh, it's from this certain dispensary. Well, okay, fine, but that doesn't mean that the drugs in the bag are from that dispensary. And they're like, the pink thing is a lighter. No, I don't think that at all, in the least.
People know that it's from a dispensary in Miami?
Yeah, because like
they're alleging he got it up here and then brought it back down there.
No, it's this dispensary in Miami.
Okay.
Does Florida have legal weed?
No.
Okay, they don't. All right, so it's something called the Kush something or other. So yeah, that makes it even more.
I did learn what pink cocaine was this week, so that was interesting.
Tusi,
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's.
I actually. So I have a buddy who went to a bachelor party in Colombia 11 years ago.
Of course you do. Yeah.
And he told me that all the girls down there a decade ago were doing Tusi, pink cocaine, whatever you want to call it. And
well,
it's
not
finally made its way north.
It's not only cocaine.
It's been
though.
there for a long time, but now it's finally made it to America.
It's not only. It's just not cocaine though. It's like it's cocaine, ketamine. It can have MDMA in it. Like it's just a weird kind of hodgepodge of drugs in a bag where it seems very unappealing because you just have no idea what's going to happen or like how it's going to feel.
Well, that was sort of what ecstasy was back in the day, though, too, wasn't it? Like ecstasy had like MDMA was the main drug in it, but there could be a cocktail of whatever else too.
But not to the point where there were such I mean, I guess any drug. I mean, you could get any
you don't
drug
really know
now,
what
and
you're
it could
getting.
just be
Yeah.
fentanyl. So, like, but the idea that you're getting a drug that ideally would have coke and K and MDMA in it in some non-exact proportion. I mean, that just could be a way that you just fall into a K-hole for a day.
Right.
So, I mean, if it's mostly ketamine, I mean, that doesn't sound like
Well, the fentanyl
world.
thing's really scary.
Well, the fentanyl thing can kill you.
And,
But
and it sounds like fentanyl's in a lot of stuff now.
well, no, fentanyl's in everything. Like
Yeah.
you really can't do any illegal drug without, questioning if it's pure and if it's fentanyl. I mean, there's some people that buy drugs that test it every time they get it to test it to see if it has fentanyl in it, which I guess I would suggest maybe they should give away free fentanyl tests if they really wanted to curb this stuff. But regardless, what is this? What are people thinking? Is this a bad look or what's going on?
I've talked to, over the last couple of days, people who were with him, with the Vikings, with the Bills, with the Texans. And I would say they aren't necessarily surprised. Now, like, I don't think it's more like the girls in the boat. Like, that's not a shocker. And it's like, you didn't expect the drugs, but when you got a bunch of girls on a boat in Miami in that sort of setting, it's not exactly a shocker that there are drugs on the boat. So it's not like the most mind-blowing thing. Now, this also isn't like, I mean, we've seen what happens on boats with NFL players before, with the Love Boat and the and the good ship Beckham.
Yes,
you guys
that's
remember?
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
in
I
Miami.
remember that.
Yeah. So I think what's interesting about this is, like, now what does Vrabel do? And I sort of think all things are on the table, and I think it's really, to me at least, it's going to boil down to what Steph told Vrabel and how believable it was. Because I think it's going to be hard for anybody. The league's going to look into this, and they're going to hit a dead end because they're not going to be able to prove what was in the bag. There's no way for them to prove what was in the bag. So then it's up to the team to make a decision. And if the team wants to recoup any of the guaranteed money, they have to cut him right away. Because you can't hold him on the roster for 2 weeks and then decide, okay, like, we're done with you then. So my guess would be the reason he wasn't at practice. This is purely a guess. But my guess would be the reason he wasn't at practice the other day might be because Mike told him to stay away. And maybe they're sorting through everything now.
Okay. And it was telling some of the stuff that Vrabel said when he was asked about this,
didn't avoid it.
Repeatedly. He didn't avoid it, but all right, he's not here. We're coaching the players who are here. It's voluntary. Okay. When he's been here, is he going to be ready? Is he getting ready? He didn't say, he's been doing great and he's doing all the work, and I'm sure, we're going to help to get him ready. He just he reverted back to we're just following protocols on all the players, and it was almost Belichickian. And but for Vrabel to avoid the topic of him personally and specifically that player, it just it didn't sound great for Diggs. That's all.
I would say so. I would say, like, based on Steph's reputation, it would be unfair to question his work ethic or his desire to get back on the field. I don't think there's anything in his history that says that he would be doing anything less than everything that he can do to get himself back and healthy and ready to play in the fall. So that's number one, right? Number two, which is what Vrabel said to me, is Vrabel wasn't going to stand up there and give him a you-know-what over what a great job he's doing rehabbing when he just got busted on a boat with girls and drugs. This was not the time for Vrabel to stand up there and talk about what an exemplary worker that Stephon Diggs has been over the last couple of months.
Short of proving what's in the bag and short of Stephon Diggs admitting to his head coach, that was cocaine, what really can he can cut him anyway? Would he cut him anyway?
Well, so that's
just
the thing,
to prove
is, like,
a point, especially when the wide receiver room stinks to begin with.
Here's the thing, is that when you're in your first year, it's different than if you're in 3 years in, 4 years in. You've established yourself. You've been to the playoffs. You can take risks then. you're at a point now where everything you do, the players are watching. And I've said this to you guys a million times. The locker room keeps score. There are standings in the locker room, and those standings are by salary. Those standings, and the young players in your locker room are looking at what you're rewarding and who you're paying and how you're reacting in these sorts of situations, especially when you're a first-year coach. So Mike comes in here, and everybody's watching how they're handling things like this. And if you look over the course of free agency, this was the one dice roll. The rest of them, for the most part, were not. And there's a reason why everyone that they brought in had background with some coach on Mike's staff, whether it was, Milton Williams is the one exception, and he was like an A-plus character guy in Philly, right? Team guy, all that different stuff. And then you have like Matt Collins and Robert Spillane were in Vegas with Josh, right? You have obviously Harold Landry coming over from Tennessee. Morgan Moses was with Todd Downing with the Jets. Even Steph himself was with Todd Downing with the Vikings. So the point is, like, you're trying to establish like a culture and a way you do things. And so this sort of thing can undermine all of that. And so that's what they have to weigh right now. And if Steph falls on the sword and does everything right, then fine. But if Mike thinks he's lying to him, like I would not, I just wouldn't doubt Mike having the stomach to cut him. And the thing is, if you're going to cut him, you kind of have to do it right away. Mm-hmm. Because you can't hold on to him for a month and then decide a month from, because then the guaranteed money, like, it's going to be much harder to go after the guaranteed money, especially the signing bonus that's already earned. Because if you're going to say to me, you're firing me for cause, but you waited 3 weeks to do it, that you're not going to win that case, you know?
Yeah.
So if they're going to go back after the $12 million signing bonus that he got, then they'd have to cut him right away, which I think is part of why if you ask him to stay out of practice, that's why you would do it. You know, you would do it because we're considering all of our options.
Trying to figure this
and
thing out.
And we don't want to put you on the practice field until we've made a final decision on what we're going to do.
So you think there's a chance they cut him?
I mean, I don't think it's a great chance, but I'd say it's. I mean, if he lies to Mike, I wouldn't doubt like the. I mean, here's the thing: is like Mike was a player, and has been around this, been around NFL locker rooms for what is it, almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
I think he's probably got a pretty good sense for if somebody's coming in and lying to him. And it's just like how credible whatever Stephon Diggs says to him is. And, I mean, you guys, it's like your kid lying to you. You know what I mean? Like, and Steph's 32, so I'm not comparing him. But it's like if he comes in and gives you a believable story and then falls on the sword and goes in front of the team and apologizes to everybody for doing it, for putting everybody in this position where they've got to answer questions for him, then fine. If there's some sort of excuse making or something that's not believable that he's trying to present, that's where I think it's like we can't trust him.
Okay, and so lying would be what? Lying would be that what was in the bag, or lying?
What was in the bag, yeah, probably.
Would be, okay, so the bag is what they would be most concerned about.
I mean, like, everything else is pretty self-explanatory, don't you think?
Yeah, I just reiterate something I said yesterday. I think it's funny where people were like, how did you let the girls have cameras? And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't think it was a girl filming it. And second of all, you might as well have told everyone just to not go on the boat. I mean, the reason everyone's on that boat is to take pictures and to take video and to put it up on their socials of look at what a great time I'm having, including Stephon Diggs, who I know is having a documentary shot about his rehabilitation. Mm-hmm. And that camera shot looked a lot like it could have been from a documentary.
The question or the outrage.
It was a very clean shot.
Very clean shot. People go on those things to. The reason you go on a boat is not because it's like super fun and look at us, we're on a boat. The reason you go on a boat, especially if you see there's a gaggle of chicks and like just a couple guys, is to film it and go look at what a lifestyle I have.
Right. Well, so the question of how do they let this get out there? That's the point. The point is that it gets out there.
They got the boat for the point of it getting out there. Yes. That's why. I'm sure now, listen, is this pink bag, maybe Stephon Diggs didn't think it through, but I mean, it is what it is.
Or maybe whoever put it up didn't even realize the pink bag was in the shot. I don't know.
Or the pink bag is some kind of, clout chasing that, like, look at what we had. Look at how wild the day this was. I mean, the way it's being handled and, like, looked at, it wasn't weed with a lighter. Or it wasn't a weed bag with a lighter. It just wasn't.
I'm not saying this is the case. It's not the case with Stephon Diggs, I don't think. But when you talk about the clout chasing thing, I remember having this conversation with Nate Newton when I was covering the Cowboys. And for people who don't know, I don't know if part of our audience doesn't know, Nate Newton was like an all-pro guard for the Cowboys who got in all kinds of trouble. He, like, I think there were 2 separate occasions that he was, like, driving, real weight, like a ton of drugs across the country. And I remember asking Nate about that. And he grew up in, like, backwoods Florida. And I remember asking Nate about that, and Nate's a really good guy. And I said, like, why would you do that? Like, you made all this money. You were a Cowboy. And now you're in Dallas, you can, like, those guys can make money. I mean, we've seen it with all of them. Like, if you're a Cowboy and you've won championships, you can make money endlessly for the rest of your life. Why would you do that? And he said, you guys don't understand. He said, the heroes where I grew up, the guys we all looked up to, the guys who were the kings of the neighborhood, they weren't the athletes. It was the drug dealer.
They weren't the guy doing restaurant and car dealership endorsements.
Yeah, it was, and like I had never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
but it's like it's kind of like Scarface. You know what I mean? Like there's like that element to it where it's like that guy's the boss.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like there's that, like when you're talking about the cloud thing, like that exists too.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. It's cloud chasing. It's look at my lifestyle, look at what I'm doing, all that stuff. All right, Bert's going to be here for the entire hour. We'll be right back.
There you have it. Toucher and Hardy resumes on the Sports Show.
I met Coach Graves when I took my visit to Ohio State, and I didn't know he used to play a little tight.
Second segment where
right.
he will be able to eat it in just a few more minutes.
I figure I was okay because I was with the host of the show, but I guess not.
Whoa.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I didn't know we were going to be late. We just got to talking so long.
Right. Just
It was
talking
a long,
pigskin.
boring conversation, yeah.
Yeah,
Talking
just
gridiron?
Yeah, just talking about the gridiron, talking 4-3, 3-4, you know. Like, what do you want to know about
what's it going to be, you know?
Yeah.
Where are they going with?
Really breaking it down.
Yeah, where are we at now? You know,
Shooting the A-gap? What are we going to do?
Are you playing 3 technique? I mean, I got to know what's going on.
Can't wait for all that stuff.
All right.
I love it.
So we had a national guy on this week, and he was talking about how it's the theory on the Patriots and how they're going to be this year is interesting. There's, you know, of course, there was this with Chicago last year, and now with the success of Washington, this you go from sucking to 11 wins, and being a challenge to get out of the playoffs, but. Andrew Callahan made a point that I thought was interesting. He said that what you look at is Detroit, and the turnaround to Detroit, they aced 2 drafts completely. They were able to pick up receiver, and that was 4th round with Amon St. Brown. They took a kid in the 1st round or 2nd round. I can't remember.
Jamison Williams.
Jamison Williams was either 1st or 2nd round.
You got Gibbs and Laporta in the same draft too,
right?
Well, Gibbs, Laporta, Branch was in that draft,
and plus Campbell, the middle linebacker,
Campbell,
was in that draft. So, they got edge rusher, receiver. They got these premier position. Penei Sewell was even before that,
right.
yeah. But they aced these positions. So. The thing Callahan put on it was 2027. That season would be the season where they're actually challenging, not just for the playoffs, but are at least in the conversation for a championship.
Right.
If they hit everything.
And I think I think the problem, last year, the issue was I think a lot of people looked at it they fired Belichick and now this is year 2. No, it's still year 1. And I think we have to remember that now, too. Mike Vrabel coming in, this is year 1 for him. So he's still cleaning some things out. And there's a lot of work to do. And they dug themselves a pretty deep hole through 4 or 5 years of really poor drafting.
Yeah.
And that you don't just snap your fingers and fix that. And the guys they brought in, and they got better in free agency. But if you're really good, those are complementary pieces. Milton Williams was the 3rd defensive tackle for the Eagles. Now, good as he might be, and he probably projects to be more than that based on how he played, he was not starting there. It was Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis as the starting defensive tackles. Robert Spillane's a good player who's bounced around the league some. Carlton Davis, good player, bounced around the league some. So when we're talking about the guys they've brought in, if you are a really good team, those are your second-level players.
But it's crawl before you walk here.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the Patriots roster now as opposed to last year, they got better at multiple positions.
Right.
And I think that's all you're shooting for at this point.
Right. And so again, I think the mistake that everybody's making is going through and playing the win-loss game, right?
Of course.
And I think we talked about this last week, right? Where Vegas, Carolina, you're looking at them, and I understand fans looking at New Orleans and Tennessee and saying, there it is. There's the opportunity. You don't think those teams are looking at the Patriots on the schedule and doing the exact
You brought it up
same
a couple of weeks ago, and Vegas is the best example of that. Right from the jump, there are 2 teams who are looking at the other and saying, there's our spot for a strong start. And if they're both looking at it, then it's really not a spot for either one of you.
Yeah, so to me, I don't want to oversimplify it, but to me, if there's a window to get to that 11 win category, it has to be the quarterback elevating. It has to be the quarterback becoming a top 10 guy, because for all the things that the Commanders got right last year, you know what they really nailed? They really nailed the quarterback.
They nailed the quarterback. Absolutely. Okay, so Josh McDaniels in now. What is your level of confidence that Drake May will maybe not pop to the Jaden Daniels extent, but have an improvement year with Josh? And this is based on everything. And it's not me just being a contrarian. This is me looking at Josh McDaniels' entire career and looking at his success. And I understand as an offensive guy, genius, but you look at the totality of everything he's done and everywhere he's gone and where he had his success and who he had it with, factoring all that in, what's your real confidence level with Josh McDaniels and Drake May leading the offense?
So you guys know, I was critical of Mac Jones when he was here. And I thought the biggest problem with him, and I said this over and over again, was this, the ceiling is what you see, what you get with him. And it turned out that was the case, right? That there just wasn't a ton of area for him to grow. But one thing Mac definitely had, Mac was really, really football smart. And so he was a really good fit to come in here and make it work in Josh's offense right away and operate the offense. And so Drake's still a little different than that in that, he's had a lot of turnover in the coordinators that he's worked with over, really, going back to high school now, if you counted them up, I'm sure it's almost a new coordinator every year. And he was seen as raw coming out. So he is not the same as Mac. And so I think a lot of people look at it and say, well, Mac had this great year out with Josh, and Drake is a totally different animal physically, which is true. He is 100. He's way more talented. Not even close. Way more talented than Mac. But Mac was also a really good fit for Josh because of the head he had for the game. So, to me, a lot of it's how does Josh meet him halfway with his system? How does Josh build something for him that's going to get him playing fast? Now, to Drake's credit, I don't think to this point Drake has shrunk to the idea of what Josh is putting in front of him. I think they believe he can run Josh's offense. But at what level? What does it look like? What are you doing to accentuate who he is as a player? I think those are the big questions. And then, with so many young receivers in the equation, what does it look like for them too? Because young receivers traditionally really struggled under Josh.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of pressure on May this year, by the way, that wasn't there last year.
Yep.
Because, Drake, evades the rush, throws the ball 30 yards down the field, and everyone's like, wow, this kid's got it. He's got it. He's able to lead a huddle.
You had every excuse in the world for him last year.
Right, and then, he leads a huddle. I'm talking about, minor things, though. He leads a huddle. He gets out of the huddle correct. All these things. Well, now, with, this fan base and national media, talking about them being a double-digit win team, now he can't turn the ball over. Now they have to win. Yeah. He's not going to get by on just wow, what a athletic play by him.
You know who's the best example of that is from last year is C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
C.J. Stroud.
Let's hope it doesn't go south like that.
No, but that's exactly it. What you just said, right? Do you hear what he just said?
He went south.
Did it really though?
Were his numbers better than the first season?
Right. So the Texans won their division again.
Yeah.
Advanced around in the playoffs. And we're down by 1 point at Arrowhead going into the fourth quarter in the divisional round. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you.
How is his roster compared to the roster the Patriots have?
I'm not disagreeing with you. But I think that's a great example of expectations changing. Because he had a great rookie year. He comes back for his second year. And, I think he had what I think a lot of people would look at as a good year. As a good second year. But because the expectations had been raised – we're talking about something completely different, right? And so, I think that's part of it. A lot of these guys, we make a lot of excuses for quarterbacks when they're rookies. And then when you get to the second year, it's okay, now he's going to make the leap. And some guys had, and the bar is really high, right?
But 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, his completion percentage went down, his yardage, his passing yards went down. That was my point.
Right. But what I'm saying is if you just took the year in a vacuum, it's a good second year. In a vacuum. That's what. But I'm using it as an example of how the expectations changed. He blew everybody away as a rookie, and because the bar was raised when he was in his second year, even on a team that, again, Tank Dell had a horrific injury. Stephon Diggs had a horrific injury. Their offensive line was a mess. They had issues where if he was a rookie, we would have made every one of those excuses for CJ, right?
Okay.
But we didn't make those excuses because now you expect more of him. And that's what I'm saying. Is like now those excuses we made for Drake as a rookie,
right?
We're probably not making those excuses for him again.
So Jaden Daniels is the one now this year
Yeah.
who could fall into that same trap.
100%,
He could have a good year by second year standards.
Right.
But unless he
by the way, everybody has a year of tape on you.
unless he makes the conference championship, people are going to say, Jaden Daniels fell off in his second year.
Oh, were we all wrong about Jaden Daniels when we were just saying how great he was last year? So, but that's the example of it. And I think part of that's a product of like what we've seen recently. Patrick Mahomes was the MVP of the league in his second year. Lamar Jackson was the MVP of the league in his second year. Josh Allen made the playoffs in his second year. Joe Burrow got to the Super Bowl in his second year. So you look at the 4 best quarterbacks in the league now, and those guys became elite in year 2. So I think what ends up happening with a lot of these guys that have followed since is like if you have a really promising rookie year and then you're not even better in your second year, you're being held to a much higher standard.
Yeah, and that's the most interesting thing for me this season is that I understand, and I don't think the team did dumb stuff in free agency. I think that what they did was fine. Look, they gave like you said, they gave a huge contract to a kid that didn't even start, but the guys ahead of him. I mean, one's Carter, who's unbelievable. I mean, who's like an athletic freak, who was maybe the best player in that draft. In terms of pure athletic ability based on size, but there's just this. If May plays like a kid, I mean, he's still young.
Yeah.
If he plays like a kid, a lot of this fan base is going to be killing him.
Right.
Which is they haven't improved that much, like on offense. Certainly, I don't know if they've improved that much. And then. The guys that we talked to, they're like, they killed the draft. They killed the draft. This receiver they got in the 3rd round is the best. He's the best. He's the best. And that's great. He's a 3rd-round receiver. I mean, he could exceed expectations of a 3rd-round receiver and still not be really good. Mm-hmm. He could just have some good games but be inconsistent,
And you don't know what you're going to get from Diggs. Seriously, you don't know what you're going to get from Diggs the first half of the season.
I mean, I think the best example is like, so you don't know you're going to get a receiver. You're really not sure about the left side of the offensive line now. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you've got high hopes for the left tackle because you took Will Campbell 4th overall. But, like, if it goes the wrong way, if those were the conditions last year and it went the wrong way, a lot of people would say, well, he's a rookie, like, look what's around him. I think once these guys get past their rookie year, we're less willing to couch their failures as a product of what's around them, even if it is a part of it. Like, I think it was a part of it with CJ. Like, things weren't as good around him in his second year as they were in his first year. But we're going to be a lot less willing to make those exceptions for him in his second year than when he was a rookie.
Yeah, it's a huge prove-it year. And I just see things – there's an opportunity of things getting very negative around here. Again, because
and can you handle that? You know what I mean? Like,
well,
especially if they get
that's
off
what I'm
to
saying is that I think that May had a honeymoon period. He didn't have to start right away. Mm-hmm. He came in, then he got hurt, then he came back, and they didn't win.
I mean, he didn't even have to complete passes. Bert was, kind of alluded to it earlier. It's like you throw one 30 yards downfield, and even if it's not his fault all the time, I get it, bouncing off receivers' hands. But the fact that he could evade
well, that's what I was saying.
Rush, and yet, like that honeymoon period was legit. People loved him. Well, not a lot to back it up.
Well, you saw that he's very athletic and that he's got everything physically that you could need from an NFL quarterback, which you haven't seen here. Like everything you could physically need from an NFL quarterback, you haven't seen this.
Wasn't Brady, wasn't Bledsoe.
Right. Well, Bledsoe, at the time, Bledsoe was.
Bledsoe was the prototypical.
Back then.
But let's just say
Bledsoe.
Yeah. Let's just say it's Bledsoe. That proves the point plenty. What is that, like, 25 years ago, that Bledsoe? And so, you haven't seen that, and I get it, and it's exciting, and, he's a good kid, and he's seems to get it, and he could be the face of the franchise. He checked, not to underestimate, he checked a tremendous amount of boxes.
Yep.
But now you're talking about winning. So that last year was about, okay, he checks all these boxes, awesome. Now it's about winning. Now, even if he goes out and throws a ton of picks this year, that doesn't mean he's never going to be a good quarterback. Obviously, obviously, look at around the NFL now about guys who are starting and making a lot of money. I mean, some of these guys flamed out in organizations, and it doesn't look like he's going to do that. It's just the pressure is now. If you don't win a game and you throw 3 picks, or even turn the ball over a couple times, and you don't win that game, because of the nature of the position, that's going to come all down on you. And I think there's a lot more pressure on May than there is on Vrabel this year. That I can tell you. All right, look, we'll come back. Tom E. Curran had some interesting things to say. It sort of relates to Jordan Hudson in a way, but it's not about their relationship, not really.
You didn't think we were going to get away with a whole hour without it, did you?
I was hoping you would.
No.
Yeah, no, I was hoping you would. Bert's on the page of enjoying the conversation, but this is more about how it related to the Patriots in the past. We'll get to that in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox had last night off. They'll try to stop a 5-game losing streak tonight when they open up a 3-game series in Atlanta. The Knicks beat Indiana last night at Madison Square Garden 111-94. Pacers still lead the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals 3-2. Game 6 is in Indianapolis tomorrow night. In hockey news, Edmonton finished off Dallas in 5 games last night, 6-3. They will host Florida in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals beginning Wednesday night. And round 3 of the French Open tennis tournament underway in Paris. Men's 2-seed Carlos Alcaraz will play later. Women's top seed Aryna Sabalenka has already won. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Super Service Today, Massachusetts' #1 provider for residential and commercial plumbing, heating, cooling, and drain cleaning, day or night, and always done right. Visit superservicetoday.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
to knock on wood. But I never had it yet.
No, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
At the end of the day, players are out there playing games, winning games.
Oh, you say
I pulled some
Spillane.
audio. I missed. I missed that you were going to do the.
No, but I didn't know it was Spillane. I didn't.
We are coming up on a big date for Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yep. On Sunday, his buyout drops to $1 million.
Have you heard anything about that?
Now, I think he's going to coach this year, but it's at least interesting with all, obviously, the noise and everything else. I don't know where this thing goes next, but it seems like there's more twists and more turns coming.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Now, do you, like, Ohio State wouldn't put up with this from a coach, correct?
Depends on how much he's winning.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, when I was in school, they fired John Cooper over an academic scandal.
But he wasn't very good.
But they were in the two worst years that in the midst of the two worst years they'd had, which were 6-6 my sophomore year and 8-4 my junior year. It's like the worst 2-year stretch they had since like the 40s.
Right.
So, was that really about academics? No. If they had gone 12-0 and were playing for a national title, there's no way he would have gotten fired. So
But what if it was a new coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is interesting because, you guys remember the George O'Leary thing.
Right.
That, to me, is, probably most applicable to this because he never coached a game at Notre Dame. And that seemed like falsifying his resume. It was, I remember it started as kind of like a weird thing, and then it just built and built and built and built. And then eventually it became too much for Notre Dame to deal with, so they just got rid of him. Now, if I remember right, he said he went to UNH, but he didn't graduate, right? And I think he had.
He had lied about his.
Yeah,
basically his resume.
He had said he was an alum of UNH, which, he went to school there, but he didn't graduate. So, but I guess this would that'd be the analogy here if you were looking to make a case against Bill, would be that one built to the point where it was really embarrassing for Notre Dame. And so they were like, we can't be associated with this anymore. I just think Notre Dame's. I think North Carolina, and North Carolina's a school like Notre Dame too, where they take their reputation very seriously. I just don't know after everything that they've invested in bringing him on board whether or not they would walk away.
Okay, so Tom Curran was on another show. I won't mention it, unlike some people at the station that do. He's talking. It's come out that it turns out that Jordan was at these games and practices. She was wearing red pants so he could see her. Yep. That she was spending the night with him the night before games at the team hotel. And he was asked about...
Which is what you would do if you were trying to hide something from your girlfriend, right?
I don't even know if he was trying to hide something from his girlfriend, except that he just couldn't be without her. He's just so infatuated. But Curran said, Curran said, I don't think that he had the same intensity or attention that Bill Belichick from 2019 had. He said that I think that it was all born out of the drafting, the free agent signings, the coaching and succession plans, the easy outs in terms of hiring, whether it be offensive coordinator, scouting, or whatever. I think Bill very much got to the point where he articulated that why should fans have expectations this year? This is what Mike Reese asked him in 2023, and Bill said the last 25 years. There was very much a kind of resting on his laurels and his reputation and what's the worst that could happen on Bill Belichick. And so Tom Curran says that indeed Belichick was distracted, in his opinion, during that 4-13 season and maybe before then.
Yeah.
That his mind was not on football the way it had been in the past.
Yeah, I don't know if it was intentional, but I certainly think that there were some things that happened. Fred, as you were reading that, the first thing I thought of was you guys remember that coach's clinic he did at Ohio State with Urban Meyer?
Yeah, of course.
And Urban, no, but you remember the audio.
I don't remember it, but
okay,
go
so
ahead.
he did a coaching clinic at Ohio State. This is probably I don't know, 2018, 2019. Like, they were still winning.
Of course you remember that.
No, but the audio got played a lot up here. So Urban Meyer got up there and said the one thing that I've learned from Bill Belichick recently is, that he said to me, when I was younger, I used to put up with a lot, and now I just if there's somebody that I don't want to be around, then I'm not going to draft him anymore. I'm not going to sign him anymore. I'm not going to bring in people that I don't want to be around. And I thought I think in the moment we looked at it like, oh, that's interesting, like how specific that is to Bill and the kinds of people he's bringing in here. But now if you think about it from a big picture standpoint, and you think about like how people get when they're older, and it's like you have less tolerance for things around you, less tolerance for new things, less tolerance for adjusting to things. And I think maybe part of that's the natural way things work, where it's like, I don't know what's so funny, Wally, but
I'm looking at Hardy because
Well,
you just described
I-
him.
no.
To a T, you described him.
No,
It was perfect.
I think for coaches who take that track, and I remember when Bill, that was a big thing. To me, that reeked of, I just don't want to work as hard. Because
I don't want to deal with it anymore.
I don't want to deal with that. Part of being a head coach is being a manager, and a manager of people and egos and stuff like that, personalities. And oh, wait a second, I don't want to do all that other stuff. And I'm not out to prove anything anymore,
but-
and I'm not going to.
So I think
what I'm getting to is there's no doubt we already know that he made bad coaching hires and didn't perform. My question is this: do you think that the relationship was a part of it? We've seen how things have gone sideways. My point is, these are all facts. He was not good.
Right. If your priorities are subtly changing, then what we're talking about, and that's what I was getting to, what we're talking about, where you have less patience for certain things and for dealing with certain types of people, probably is only going to grow, right? Like if I'm spending more time over here and less time at work, or there are subtle changes in the way that I'm running my life, then I'm probably going to have even less patience for change at work, for the types of people I'm dealing with. So the guy who once took a risk on a Randy Moss or a Corey Dillon, like that's how we all took that comment in 2019, right? But does that also extend to, I don't want to bring in all these new young coaches.
Yeah,
let's
let's
just bring people I'm familiar with back in, because that's going to be less work for me.
But how about also, I don't want to work as much because I want to do whatever I want to do, and that includes bringing this young girl around and having her hang around.
It's
and having her be around everything and have her be at the hotel the night before games. I mean, we were led to believe, coaches are 20-hour work days, and they're taking cat naps on a cot in their office, and this guy's out banging this chick the night before games.
I'll give you the flip side of it, though. The flip side of it is like last year or 2 years ago in November and December, when everyone knew that Bill was on his way out, is still like meeting with the scouts on Friday morning to break down like the next year's tight end prospects, defensive end prospects. Like, so he was still running the whole show. But I think like the one thing that this is another thing that I had heard 5 or 6 years ago that now has more context. Like, Bill doesn't want to go to another team because he has things so turnkey here now, right? So, in other words, he's got it wired to a point where it's so easy for him. He can just show up to work. Well, that can lead to some complacency too. If you're not having to kind of reinvent yourself all the time, it makes things easier. And then, like to your point, Fred, do like your divided priorities, do some of the divided priorities in your life help to fuel that? That's certainly possible.
Right. I mean, a guy that is not that invested, because I'm just trying to circle it back to like where at the end of his run with the Patriots, he seems to, obviously we know what he did, but he just seemed to be not nearly as invested. And on top of that,
although bringing Jordan to the team hotel is sort of multitasking, you can give him credit for that.
And on top of that, he's so arrogant that his whole thing was like, "What do you care if I win? I'm Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
I win or lose. I'm Bill Belichick. I gave you 6 titles. I'll do whatever I want."
Well, it's still comical to think about, like, those of us who had the gall to ask him about, like, injuries and stuff 10 years ago. It's like, how dare you question him?
Yeah.
Stop grandstanding.
Well,
It's
the part of the reason this is funny is a lot of the reason this is funny is the fan base that worships him so much. And now you're seeing that he's not so smart. I mean, he's just not that smart a guy. And then he's willing to give up a lot of control of his life to people that are unqualified just based on them wanting to bang him or allowing him to bang them. I don't know. Wanting is a very maybe unfair term. Allowing them to bang. You know what I'm saying? Permitting them to bang. I thought it was interesting that now Curran is looking back and going, yeah, he probably was not overly focused on football. He was more focused on his relationship than he was on football.
Fred, I don't know why, but like when you said allowing, for some reason it brought me back to your Pat Summitt analogy. It's,
oh yeah, well yeah, it's like at Pat Summitt when she was 72 and coaching the Tennessee women's basketball team, and you see some 21-year-old dude like rip 20, like say he was a wrestler or something.
Yeah, I was going to say not even on the cheer team, something even more appealing than that.
Yeah, like some in shape like 21-year-old dude comes up to her and starts like making out. Where was Pat last night? Oh, she was with her 21-year-old 21, 19 year old boyfriend at in the team hotel the night before the game. I mean, it's kind of funny because like if the roles were reversed and it was a woman that was older who was the coach and an iconic coach and they were banging a 19 or 20-year-old kid, man, you would be like, ew. Everyone would be like, gross. And that's why women like this story, because if you think about it that way, you would be like, who the hell is this 20-year-old kid? The way women look at it is, who the hell is this 20-year-old woman having sex with this old man? Mm-hmm. The way we look at it is like, wow, Belichick is just so fraudulent, and maybe he was covering up a lack of intelligence with this arrogance.
I mean, it must be true love if he's going to the Holiday Inn Express. And,
I don't doubt that he's in love.
Or whatever.
He's in love. He's just take whatever you want, honey.
Yeah.
Any job you want, anything you want. All right, Bert. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Bert.
We appreciate it. We'll be back with the news.
Toucher and
Bossier Tire Studios, WBZ-FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox had last night off to try and figure out how to end a current 5-game losing streak. They'll pitch Lucas Giolito tonight in the opener of a 3-game series in Atlanta. At the NBA playoffs, Jalen Brunson scored 32 points. The Knicks beat Indiana 111-94 in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Tyrese Halliburton took only 7 shots and scored a total of 8 points.
But yeah, I got to be better, and I'll be better in Game 6. But I watched the film and learn from it like I always try to do, and be prepared for Game 6.
The Knicks stay alive. They're down 3-2 now. Game 6 is in Indianapolis tomorrow night. Edmonton beat Dallas yesterday evening 6-3 to win the NHL's Western Conference Finals in 5 games. They'll host Florida in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals Wednesday night. And round 3 of the French Open tennis tournament underway in Paris. Women's top seed Arina Sabalenka through to round 4 already today. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, the company that finishes every job strong. If your home or business has a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or drain issue that can't wait, you need to call 128 now at 888-CALL-128. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Here we go.
Boom. I win. Kaboom.
Yeah. It's so funny. We've got a passion for Boston sports. Get angry. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Half Toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
We interrupt this program for breaking news.
I can't use it.
Newsflash.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub and get that involved. And watch Joe live. Highlights of all the shows and our writers, everything. All right, Mr. Poole, what do we have today?
Well, Mr. Toucher, there's one story I want to get to that unfortunately we do not have audio from. I just want to bring this up as to kind of set the table. This happened in Slidell, Louisiana, where police were responding to a call at a Lowe's parking lot because, now, according to reports, you understand, this is all alleged at this point.
Yeah, don't want to get yourself in legal hot water.
Yeah. And it's been a week or two now, so I think it's okay to mention that they did allegedly find a naked man inside a display shed engaged in lewd behavior.
Right. It was a rite of passage.
Well,
it's a rite of passage.
That's right. Now, this is what you get when you go with one of these parking lot sheds. It's not a Reed's Ferry. But officers arrived at the scene. They began searching the line of sheds on display. It wasn't until... This is written very well. It wasn't until the 4th or 5th shed that they located the suspect lying on his back, pants around his ankles, using an open container of Vaseline and an electronic device while allegedly masturbating. With taser drawn, police say the officer ordered the man to pull up his pants, roll onto his stomach to be handcuffed, and the man complied without resistance.
No, yeah. I mean, it is true. Isn't that true, guy in the naked guy in the trunk of the car?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to go in there, isn't it a little bit cumbersome to have to carry around Vaseline?
It's a rite of passage.
I understand that, but I mean, at least you could. I mean, you're so beholden to the Vaseline that you couldn't even get into the shed without it. I mean, it would help.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, if you don't have the Vaseline, you have plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they throw the Vaseline in there because it proves kind of what you were doing.
Well, they did ask him for identification.
I'm the son of the Pope.
And apparently that did not satisfy them.
Well, yeah, you sound Canadian, and the Pope we know now is born in Chicago.
Yeah.
Or at least grew up there,
The man reportedly admitted to his actions, telling officers he was watching YouTube at the time.
Well, listen, there's stuff on YouTube. If you don't mind, you can go to old Ricky Lake shows or old Jenny Jones shows and have at it. I mean, they often had
I used to be a nerd, but look at me now.
Well, the best, I think it was a Ricky Lake.
I think John has some of those shows committed to memory. What was that? What was the title of that one, John?
I used to be a nerd, but look at me now, huh?
There was a Ricky Lake which they really tackled the issue of men who like certain body parts on, living women.
Right.
And there was like a guy who really loved breasts and like a guy that really loved butts. And so they brought out a girl with huge boobs and to like watch him go, wah, 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 wah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very on the level. And then they brought out someone, but then there was a guy who loved feet. And she's like, what do you like so much about feet? He goes, I got a song. And he goes, I love feet. I love feet. Feet just can't be beat. I love feet. And that's when I started going, oh, there's some fun in this. There's some fun in this. Mm-hmm. I told you I had a friend who, him and his sister and one of their friends was on Jerry Springer. I can't even remember what they said. Jerry Springer's people, I don't want to blow anything for you. Very loose on if it had to be true or not. So they just made something up.
Yeah.
And they got out there and they were able to buy sneakers. They said that the Springer producers gave them enough money to go buy sneakers.
So our night DJ back in East Lansing, Nick at Night, Nicole, she and another buddy of ours went on Jerry Springer, same thing. I forget what the premise was. I caught him cheating. And they just wanted to go. They wanted to go to New York. They wanted to be on the show. But exact same thing. Now, listen. The story you're going to tell is the truth, right? And if it's not, you can never say otherwise, right? Right. And they just went on.
Well, this was Todd Stoneman and Heather Stoneman and someone else. And I don't think they even got asked if this is a true story. I think that even it might have been a question that they asked that you contacted them and said that you were that story. I don't. There was no coming up with your own story or anything. They just were sitting around bored, and one of them sent a letter or whatever was going on at the time. Said it was a good experience, though.
Yeah. All right.
This is kind of a hard pull for you, John. But Jerry Springer had sex with which porn star? She was MILF before the MILF movement. So we're talking like early 90s. You're never going to get it. Short brown hair.
Oh no chance.
Blake Mitchell.
No. Never would have gotten it. No.
Blake Mitchell.
No.
She was a MILF.
Okay.
Before MILFs. She was a mature pornographic actress. She's very good, great body. I can see why you did it. But she claims that they had sex. And Hardy was frantically Googling there for Blake Mitchell. You won't like her.
I was going to go Nina Hartley, but not close.
No, Nina Hartley was a married woman. Come on.
Now, but not then.
Well, I mean, I still think she does porn. She's very old. I never liked Nina Hartley that much. Yeah. I never found her attractive. She was very eloquent when speaking of the adult industry at a Ricky Lake or a Jenny Jones.
Sure.
She's actually seems pretty smart, but not so much with the
See
with
any
the
of her
looks.
work, Hardy? Nina Hartley?
Careful. There are some adult male stars who have also adopted the same name, maybe trying to,
Oh, boy, then you're going to see a wiener. And now all hell breaks going to go. Now you're gay. Hardy's gay. He was looking at gay porn.
So?
Let's all right.
see what you got, homeboy.
Right.
All right. So that's TT Boy. He would do wind sprints to prepare for scenes.
Yeah.
Out in front of the house they were shooting at.
For this other story, Fred, we go to Los Angeles, Echo Park. And the only thing I know about Echo Park is I believe that's where the character of Scott Glenn lived in the movie Training Day.
Okay. It's where Lou Gehrig did his famous speech.
The Sandman lived in Echo Park.
All right. Here we go. This is from Echo Park, California.
New at 11, police arrested a man in Echo Park after he was found asleep and naked in a bed that was not his own. And now the man who lives there is speaking out about encountering that intruder in his house.
How old? Is he old?
Was he gifted an old man?
Whoa! Happy anniversary, I guess. Honey, I missed our anniversary. I forgot to get flowers. There seems to be a naked man asleep in the bed. He's not dead, is he? Oh, well, let's see. I'll wave a Werther's Original under his nose and see if he wakes up.
You can't be a day under 75, can you?
I'll turn the TV up all the way.
New at 11, police arrested a man in Echo Park after he was found asleep and naked in a bed that was not his own. And now the man who lives there is speaking out about encountering that intruder in his house.
Yeah, Carolyn, this was definitely a strange break-in in Echo Park. The intruder didn't steal anything, but he destroyed a lot of things inside the home. And then,
like my heart, I almost had a heart attack with the glee I felt. I get to play with this thing the whole day? Oh, he has support hose on.
Look at your compression socks.
I love their shoes because they're always Velcro and so easy to pull off. Compression socks, compression socks. You put one of those compression socks around their face.
Pill container, pill container.
Yeah, let's lube up that pill container and see what's doing.
Banter fiber, banter fiber.
Oh, he's already taken his mucilix? Perfect. I will get the bedpan.
fell asleep naked inside of a bedroom.
As I stuck the key in, I could see the entire kitchen had been ransacked.
It was late Saturday night, Mother's Day weekend, when Michael Duarte got back to his Echo Park home after being away for a couple of days.
Did some wild animal come into my home?
No, it's just George. The 82-year-old guy down the street got loose. Yeah, just bring him in here. You know, you could tell he used to be fat because of all the skin. He's got a lot of hanging skin to play with.
What makes this special is he chose me.
Yeah. You can't get in trouble once they're sleeping. When they broke in and got into bed, you're allowed to kill them. What? Slowly.
Oh.
Nothing violent. Just put a pillow over their face. Feel like God for a minute.
Okay. Guy who's been gifted an old man guy, let me ask you.
Yeah.
In terms of happy surprises when you've come home, where does this rank?
Oh, well, there was the time that I found that my girlfriend at the time was stumbling out of the bathroom out of a big cockroach problem.
Okay.
And she was crushing them as she went. Let's say that's a C. Old guy in my bed that I didn't even ask for. A. That was the original Animal House scene during the parade when... Remember the young woman goes through the window and the kid goes, "Thank you, God"?
Right, it was an old man in the original cut?
In the original cut, it was just they had prematurely put a man in a coffin and he slid out into a man's room. Oh, but to my surprise, because I was like, "Oh, honey, you gave me a cadaver." And then I'm like, "Whoa, it's still breathing." Hot dog.
Guy who's recently been gifted an old man to play with, Guy. At what age would you not be excited by the gift? If the man were, say, too young, would that disappoint you?
I just see how excited they get when I bring out Epsom salts and liniments.
Okay.
And damage everything.
The smashed glass at the back door pointed to a break-in.
Someone had broken into my home, robbed me, and had left.
That wasn't the case. Michael made his way to the front door, looked through the window into his bedroom, and saw a man sleeping in his bed.
Completely naked, sleeping in my bed. I was shocked, like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and someone sleeping in my bed.
Yes, I'll put on a wig and I'll be Goldilocks. I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll put this pillow over your face.
Said the little bear.
The Ring video captured Michael backing off his porch and telling his friend who was waiting in the car with his pets to call police.
Yeah, get them in here. Get those pets in here. You know, cats love it. That leg might as well be dead. Let the cat nibble.
When officers arrived, they arrested the man, got him dressed, and hauled him off to jail.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Those pants go up to his nipples. You're ruining everything. He's got suspenders. Put them on.
At least put his suspenders back on.
At least put his hat back on his head.
Let the man have his dignity. Not too much.
Yes.
He was yelling to me and my friend and also the officer.
About all the foreigners that have moved to the neighborhood. He was yelling about how this used to be a nice place where you could raise a family before all they moved in. He had a Gran Torino. He was very proud of it. Wouldn't give it to anyone.
He was yelling to me and my friend and also the officers, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to effing kill you.
As long as I get first, I got to get out of this blueberry patch.
Michael thought that was the end of his wild night. But then he walked into his house.
Be prepared for anything, I guess what they say, right?
He wasn't prepared for this. The entire first floor of his home ransacked in the most bizarre way.
Yeah, there was false teeth everywhere. He had taken the stuff for the false teeth and glued all my furniture to the ground.
This whole Goldilocks and Bear thing, you're taking it a little too far here. Ransacking the kitchen, too.
Exactly.
Michael believes the intruder was in his home for several hours and spent a lot of time in the kitchen.
I knew he was in the kitchen because he'd saved all the bacon grease in a can. He grew up in the Depression.
Yeah.
You don't waste anything.
He ate a box of ice cream sandwiches. He ate Dole Whip, a whole box of Beyond Beef burgers. He stuck in the microwave, cooked them, and then ate them.
And Michael's stash of chewing gum.
And I had a fresh pack with 60 inside, unopened. He opened it up, chewed all of them, and then spit a big wad of gum about this big, the size of a softball.
I put it in my kerchief. I put it in my handkerchief, of which I blow my nose and keep my used gum. What, old people don't do that?
Had I known he was coming, I would have purchased Freedent.
Like on my kitchen table.
On the back patio, Michael says the intruder used a statue to kill a possum. And Michael also...
Jeez.
This guy was busy. Wow. Ate up all the burgers.
He used one of my lawn jockeys.
Ate up all the ice cream sandwiches and then went out on the back patio and killed a possum.
Well, he needed something to wipe with. He had he's ate all that lactose.
On the back patio, Michael says the intruder used a statue to kill a possum. And Michael also found little bags of what appeared to be drugs.
Some sort of white crystal rocky substance.
The whole string.
No, that's Metamucil.
Yeah, and plus, how would he be that hungry if he was doing a bunch of white powdery substances? That's a great appetite suppressant.
I would think so.
Some sort of white crystal rocky substance.
The whole strange incident has shaken the usually quiet neighborhood and has everyone thinking twice about their safety.
It definitely changes how you think about things and how safe you really are.
Now, Michael believes the intruder was homeless and got to the neighborhood by bus. And Michael says that he has seen several transients in the area approaching houses in recent weeks.
Yeah, we're all coming out. They're all coming out. They left the nursing home door open. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Hardy had an opportunity to talk to Rob Gronkowski after he played pickleball with him. We'll have that for you in just a moment. Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, as you've heard, was in this pickleball thing that was
Paddleboard is your world.
That's right. That is my world. I had one of the first paddleboards in the continental United States. That is true. They were only making them in Hawaii at the time, to my knowledge. And now I don't do it at all. But pickleball, and he was out there with Felger, and they played against Rob Gronkowski. I talked to my mom yesterday. She was listening to the show, and she said, I felt so bad for Hardy. He just seemed to want to do so well, and he was set up by the people by putting a pro in there. And I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know why anyone would care. And then she was like,
okay, you know what? Tell your mother I said thank you. It's more than I got from my mother. Not made mention of it other than she knew I was doing it, but it hasn't inquired as to how it went.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's terrible.
Nothing like that. And I would, before we even begin here, I would like to thank everyone and the very kind commenters online after the video was posted yesterday about the athletic prowess on display in those videos. Yeah, that's good.
All right.
People are really nice.
It's to be expected.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
And just to recap, Fred, Felger and I were supposed to play. Rob Gronkowski called into this show and said, you are going to take on me and Julian Edelman, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the match. That was
the deal.
Right? And the people who raised the money for the various, stuff, they got to play against him. And to help put it out there, Felger and I were get to play against him too. And Edelman was there for a time.
And then he had to run and hide from the cameras. I understand.
He wasn't there. Yeah. And then Brian Hoyer showed up and was playing with Rob Gronkowski. And I liked our chances against those guys for at least having a game. And then right before our turn, Rob switched partners to and a guy named Ryan Sherry, who is currently ranked 39th in the pro pickleball standings.
In the world.
It was top 10 in the world, top 5 in the country a couple of years ago. Gronkowski takes him as his partner, and of course that guy could have beaten us single-handedly. And instead, with Gronkowski in there hitting the ball maybe twice during the entire game, they beat us 11-1.
Mm-hmm.
So
his court coverage was impressive.
Yeah, I was just in no mood, but yeah, fine. We're gonna talk with Rob Gronkowski afterward. So yeah, he and I went over there. Felger went over there also, and then Rob Ninkovich was standing there. So it's a bit of a mess, but sure, here it is.
We got Rob Ninkovich here too.
Rob Ninkovich.
Great. Michael Felger, Rob Gronkowski. We're all here together.
Yes, we are.
Well, you were fired up. I can tell you just got off the courts.
Thank you. Yeah, I had the adrenaline pumping,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to remain in a good mood because there are people watching stuff. But I'm still pissed. I'm not getting less pissed about it as time goes on.
Well, my mom's on your side. She thinks that was a poor move by the Gronkowski's people to put a pro in there.
Thank you.
We got Rob Ninkovich here too.
Rob Ninkovich.
Great. Michael Felger, Rob Gronkowski. We're all here together.
Yes, we are.
At the second annual Pickleball for a Purpose. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a purpose, and the purpose was to get you out here and absolutely whoop your ass, baby. And
Who was
that's
your
what I
partner
did.
there? That partner was a ringer. That was not.
I got that partner off the street.
Seriously.
Where is it? That Heroin Row?
Yeah.
I picked him off there.
Okay. Well, he's talking about Methadone Mile.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Heroin Row, which is where a lot of the great people like, Mother Teresa and those people are Heroin Row. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right. That's the way I look at it.
But good for Gronk. Timely, topical. Throwing a heroin joke early at this charity event.
Yeah. You picked up a guy off of Heroin Row.
Where is it? That Heroin Row?
Yeah.
I picked him off there, and I still won 11-1.
It was legit.
Yeah.
That's good.
You drink, okay? Because he was like Energizer Bunny out there. He was making all the shots for you, Rob.
Yeah. It didn't matter. It's all about the team.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the guy was making all the shots. They're saying that they did make all the shots.
Ninkovich is the one who said he was making all the shots for you, Rob.
Right.
Yeah.
I learned that from Coach Belichick. No one's bigger than the team, and I played my part.
Now listen, you get mentioned in his book, which is more than you can say for a lot of people. He actually, I think he compares you to Rodney Harrison.
Really?
He said the two players. Have you not read the book?
No, I have not read the book. It just came out, and I haven't read a book since it came out, so I haven't read it.
You should have his publicist send you one.
He hasn't read a book since the Bible came out. Let's be honest.
I read a book since it came out.
I haven't read a book. Full stop.
Yeah. It doesn't matter when it was written.
Since things started being written down.
Me and words on pages don't go together.
Yeah.
So I missed one, and you can tell I'm amped up. This is not normal me, but I'm,
Plus, there's music playing and all that stuff,
all right.
right?
So I missed opportunity one when he says, like Coach Belichick says, you got to do this thing. I immediately, in hindsight, should have said, Coach Belichick also says to limit distractions, but he doesn't seem to be doing that these days.
Right, exactly.
But, all right, so he mentions the book, and I'm like, oh, okay, here's an opportunity. And we've been instructed many times prior to, day of, moments before, don't talk about Bill and Jordan. But there's an opportunity. I see one. I'm going to try and sneak one in here.
Okay.
Yeah, he should. Or she should. All right. Whoever it is.
Autograph book.
Yeah, and I want it autographed as well. And I want it forwarded to me as well with a nice little note telling me how great I am.
Are you into acknowledgments?
I'm not sure. I haven't read the book.
I don't know. All I know is that he gets mentioned. And we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about this upcoming season for the Patriots. The way the team's coming together,
skip like
Mike
the next
Vrabel,
minute.
all the new players. What are you thinking so
I
far?
really like what they have done so far. I think everything they've done is right. In free agency, they hit everything right on. They got the players they needed to get. They spent the money on the positions they needed. And then in the draft, they went out and got the players that they needed to finally fill up the positions that they needed out on that team. So they did a wonderful job, but it's not.
I mean, can you dumb it down a little bit for us? I mean, no need to get in such particulars.
Yeah.
They got the players they needed in the draft. They drafted for the positions they needed, and there you go. I mean, save this for the show with Jaworski on Saturday mornings when you're breaking everything down.
It's not about, you have a great free agency, you have a great draft, but now what it's about is putting the team together, building up that chemistry, and seeing what product you can put out on the football field. But so far, they aced the offseason. They did.
I still want to know why Edelman. I want to know why Edelman wasn't here or Rob wasn't here. Why wasn't another player? Why do we have to play against that guy?
I told you. I just picked him off the streets. Picked him up.
Your methadone mile joke. I remember. Yeah, a minute ago. Rob, we already bugged you about this when you called into the show a couple of weeks ago. Rob Ninkovich, we haven't asked. What do you make of your former coach and his seemingly big lifestyle change?
You have fun later in life. That's all I got to say. You have a good time. You do what you want. Listen, who's going to tell you something else? You're 74? Is he 74, 73? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Did Bill ever ask you to wear red pants? No, I can't think so. We didn't have any football pants. There were only silver. Only silver and blue pants. That's the only pants I wore.
To get hit.
All right.
Quarterbacks wore red.
Rob, great cause, great purpose. Second annual Pickleball for a purpose. Hopefully we can do it again next year and you don't have a ringer that you bring off the
Thank
street.
you guys for coming out and, raising money for the Jimmy Fund and Grunt Nation Youth Foundation and making some awareness out for this event tonight. So thank you guys. And next year I'll get a double ringer.
There you go.
Awesome.
I'm a ringer.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rob.
I suck. That's why I wasn't playing. So this will be my second time playing. He doesn't want to play with me. He wants to play with a guy that's really good.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
That's great.
Double
stuff.
ringer.
Great
Be
stuff.
careful.
Great stuff. Good job.
Yeah, who cares except for, the university, his family, his kids, their wives. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
It's chaos. We all sound like we're on coke.
Well, listen, you had Coke music playing in the background.
We did.
I mean, you had very up-tempo, almost disco-y music going on in the background. Like Night at the Roxbury kind of music in the background. But there you go.
And Felger wasn't letting it go last night either. I checked out a portion of the off-air show, and they had audio problems at the beginning, which is why I didn't suggest we replay it today. But Felger spent the first 10 minutes of the off-air show saying essentially all the same stuff. That was a ringer. That's not how it was supposed to go. And my metaphor or analogy would be, you and I are going to play John and his buddy in golf, right? and we're going to show up later today, and John is supposed to bring Ryan, and instead you show up at the last minute with Ricky Fowler. It's not like he's the best in the world. He's like 40th. So, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. It's for charity. But he's playing a different game than the
Now, did he try his hardest?
Are.
Do you think the ringer?
Probably not.
Okay. Because
no, there's one shot in the video where I can tell he absolutely could have tattooed me or Felger with a shot that I floated up to him a little too easily, and he could have literally hurt us with that one.
I mean, that's the danger getting into that arena, getting into that squared circle.
Exactly.
It's funny. I'm allowed to bring someone to the golf tournament to play with Walk and I could have brought a guy very easily that's a plus handicap, but I didn't want to do it.
No,
I was just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to bring a ringer. I like the guy and he loves golf, but I don't want to bring a ringer. We would have won too. We never would have hit one of our own balls, but we would have won the thing. But no, I'm not bringing him.
If you've got a guy that good on your team, you're right. He'll get you in the fairway, get you on the green, and if he gets 3 looks at a putt of a makeable length, then he'll make it.
Right. Yeah. And he hits the ball over 300 yards. It's a whole thing with this guy. So he's in the business of golf. He does everything. His life. He talks about golf an awful lot.
My team will be revealed on this week's Sports Hub Golf Club.
Oh,
this week's
coming up on Sunday morning. Yes.
So no specific time, just any time between 7 and 8. Tune in for the whole thing.
That's what people do.
Yeah. Okay. So the golf club. All right.
Sports Hub Golf Club.
Yeah.
Sunday morning.
Every pro shop around the nation has got the golf club going.
All the guys on the mowers with their headphone radios, they're all listening.
Yeah. It's just when rappers would listen to Hot 97 in New York, they would be like, oh, I wonder if they're ever going to mention me. This is like the golf club. You got everyone glued into the radio. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox had last night off. They'll try to end a season-high 5-game losing streak this evening. Lucas Giolito will pitch in Atlanta against the Braves. The New York Knicks beat the Indiana Pacers 111-94 at Madison Square Garden last night. Pacers now lead the Eastern Conference Finals 3-2 and will host Game 6 tomorrow night. In hockey news, Edmonton's headed back to the Stanley Cup Finals. They finished off Dallas in 5 games last night, 6-3. The Oilers will host Florida in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals on Wednesday night. And the NCAA Men's Baseball Tournament begins this afternoon and this evening. Northeastern plays Mississippi State tonight. Holy Cross will visit number 5 North Carolina in the first game of the day at noon. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Veterinary Urgent Care Center. With 8 locations in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, VUCC offers compassionate, convenient, high-quality care 7 days a week. Walk in or book an appointment at veturgentcare.com. Veterinary Urgent Care Center, urgent care for your pet's urgent needs. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
Be sure to enjoy the game in an ice-cold, refreshing Corona at the Broadside Tavern on Broad Street in Boston. Relax and enjoy the finer life of sports with Corona. La Playa awaits. Must be 21 plus. Relax responsibly.
For over 80 years, JB Sash & Door has been New England's leading window and door dealer.
And for over 20 years, we've been proud to offer Marvin Windows and Doors.
Marvin provides a perfect solution for any budget or design.
And JB Sash offers design services, custom finishes, and millwork options for all Marvin products.
Don't settle for windows and doors from a lumberyard or big box store.
Our expertise makes us New England's leading Marvin dealer, and no one knows Marvin better than JB Sash.
Visit us at jbsash.com.
We are JB Sash & Door,
the home of the window boys.
Massachusetts drivers, expect major traffic delays May 30th to June 2nd on the Mass Pike from Framingham to Boston and Worcester. Construction will be taking place that weekend between exits 123 and 125 east of the I-90-I-95 interchange. Drivers should plan ahead, avoid the area, and seek an alternate route. Heavy traffic is expected. For project updates, use Mass 511 and follow MassDOT on social media.
Gate City Casino is your new casino, now closer to home. Located in Nashua.
Durant right now, right?
But if Gilgeous Alexander, is it him if they win the championship?
Yes.
You got to think yes, right? I think Durant was like a 6-time All-NBA or something like that when he played for Oklahoma City.
I mean, in terms of like the actual player, Fred, or how they would be remembered as an Oklahoma City Thunder?
Just strictly, no, because, I mean, Durant's better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There's no doubt about it. But, like, he'll have a better career.
Yeah, but the way he left.
Right. Well, no, what I'm saying is that if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder and you have to retire a number, like after this season, who would you retire first, Durant or Gilgeous-Alexander?
If they win it, Alexander.
Yes. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But what team would you take? Do you take this team? It's very deep.
I would.
It's 8-9 guys deep.
Obviously, I don't know it as well because I haven't been watching them as long. But everyone that was on that other team, I mean, they only ran into the buzzsaw that was the Golden State Warriors at the time in their prime.
Well,
and they lost to Cleveland, though. They lost to Cleveland in a final, I believe.
Thunder lost to Miami.
Oh, Miami in a final.
That was when LeBron was there.
Okay, so that's why I got
believe.
confused.
I got to double check that. But
right.
I think LeBron was there in 2012.
I think I'm going with the old one still.
Harden was thin at the time, and he was still trying.
Yes. Was he playing any defense?
And Westbrook was really good. No, I don't think Harden was ever a great defensive player. But, I mean...
Yeah, Harden was 6th man of the year that year.
I mean, you had 3 Hall of Famers on that team. Those guys are all going to the Hall of Fame.
That's tough to pass up.
You have 3 Hall of Famers. Westbrook was, averaging 24 points a game. He had completely morphed into the triple-double machine he became.
Get out of the numbers, Wallach. What does your heart tell you? Take your beak out of the screen. What do you feel?
I think this one. Deeper.
Recency bias.
Deeper.
Wrong.
All right.
You got it wrong.
All right. We mentioned this. Pat McAfee lives in Indiana, and before the Pacers-Knicks game, I guess that would be game 4. This is what Pat McAfee did. Part of what he did. They gave him a live mic, and this is what he did.
Indianapolis, Indiana. We got some big wigs from the big city in the building. Spike Lee is here. Ben Stiller is here. Timothy Chalamet is here. Let's send these sons of bitches back to New York with their ears ringing. Let's turn this on.
What swear did he say there?
I think he said the S word.
Oh, okay.
We're cutting it fast. He sounds like the ultimate warrior.
No, he's doing like wrestling shtick, and it's funny because Ben Stiller was asked about it, and he was like, "Is he a wrestler?" He didn't know who he was.
I love that.
And he says it's okay. He must be playing around. If it's an actual point of view, it seems a little anachronistic. Anachronistic. Thank you. Or cliche. Yeah. Like we are the big city celebs and shouldn't be there in the heartland again. Everyone we met was awesome and incredibly cool. And John Cougar Mellencamp said that, we don't do that in Indiana, this and that. But it's just like Pat McAfee, like that's everything. Look at these big city celebs. Look at these big city people in our little town sitting here. Ben Stiller, the huge icon, the power broker, Ben Stiller is here. Spike Lee's annoying at games, but I think people would be aware that he was there considering he wears Nick suits that are like pinstriped, like zoot suits that are like pinstriped. I think you would notice him. And then like Timothy Chalamet, like let's boo him. Ooh. God, I hate McAfee. Like lowest hanging fruit crap. Look at these big city guys that are here. If you were in Indianapolis, wouldn't you be like, oh, what are we now? We're Ma and Pa America. Now we're this like garbage city that doesn't deserve anything.
Well, okay, so he lives there, fine, but you can't be a Pittsburgh guy.
Yeah,
that's
what I was thinking.
And all right, so what's their NBA team? Fine, but you can't bounce around as much as he does.
Yeah, he's got that terrible Pittsburgh accent, and then he did the thing in Pittsburgh, right? And then now he's the guy in Indianapolis because they can't get anyone out there. Why didn't they have John Cougar do it? Why didn't they have John Mellencamp do it? He's a way bigger star than Pat McAfee. Get an actual guy from Indiana. Is it this picking so slim in Indiana?
He's not in Indiana. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He's a West Virginia guy. I guess the Colts. I don't know.
It's the Colts, but you gotta.
It's not the Pacers.
And they probably love that he does his show from Indianapolis. Like, they probably love that he, stuck around. Like, when Oprah did her show in Chicago.
Would you love it?
Would if Pat McAfee stuck around?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the slim pickings, I mean, listen, they make a big deal about it when the wrong Wahlbergs had games. I mean, they go like Donnie Wahlberg.
Well, we talk about that here in Boston, like the curious lack of celebrities and those who have remained and stayed. So let's say it works for Boston too. Let's say McAfee had played and punted here, and now he was doing this show here. Would you love it?
No.
Would people around here love it?
No.
Some.
I don't know. It's just.
So.
But if you did a celebrity in Boston, if all the celebrities from Boston went to Celtics games, you wouldn't have room for anyone else. Every comedian is from here. Legitimately, every comedian is from here, has some tie to here, or went to Harvard or something. So I mean, there would be no room for anyone. Now, the people that stick around are kind of lame. Then you're down to Jay Giles bands and stuff like that. You're down pretty low at that point in terms of national celebrity. But it's funny. I'm taking my daughter to Kendrick Lamar and SZA at Ford Field, and you figure Ford Field and I guess they have people come up at different shows to join the stage, and we're running down everyone it could be that was from Detroit, and the list is phenomenally long. And that's why this strikes me so. Indiana's only got Pat McAfee, and it's so strange that Ben Stiller's there, of all people. That Ben Stiller, who I think is really, really funny and has done great work. This is not an insult to his work, but look at this big city guy, Ben Stiller, this fashion icon, Ben Stiller, who's married to the chick that played Marcia in the Brady Bunch movie. I mean, get out of here, Ben Stiller. Look at him. Look at the big celebrities. It's not Tom Cruise or something. You know what I'm saying?
Ben Stiller is a guy that does he ever make you angry? He may make you not laugh, but other than that, it's not a guy who. I'll look at him walk around thinking he's so big. Ben Stiller?
If you ran into Ben Stiller, and I love the Ben Stiller show, and I'm familiar even when he was on Saturday Night Live. I know a lot about Ben Stiller, but if you if you saw Ben Stiller walking down the street, you wouldn't be like, ah, that's Ben Stiller, you would be like, okay. Wow, hey, and then if you got a chance to talk to him, I'd be like, big fan. I've been a fan of yours for a really long time. I love the Ben Stiller show. I think that it started, a kind of a new wave of comedy, and look at all the great talent that came out of that. But I wouldn't be like, I can't believe Ben Stiller sits among us, that he walks among us humble people at this basketball game.
If you saw Ben Stiller in a restaurant, you'd be like, oh, cool, it's Ben Stiller.
Mm-hmm. Who knows if I've been in a restaurant that Ben Stiller's been in? I mean, I go to big cities. You're not
going to be enraged by
it. Ben Stiller. And even Timothy Chalamet is a big movie star. So I guess look at this big movie star infiltrating us. But Ben Stiller just seems like a nice kind of comedian dude. And then Spike Lee you knew Spike Lee was going to be there.
Right.
Spike Lee's going to be there.
He's been doing it for a long time. Spike's going to be there.
Yeah, he's annoying. But I'll tell you what's annoying too is Pat McAfee's punching Indiana's coach. He's he's as annoying as Spike Lee. He's your Spike Lee. Spike Lee runs around in the court and talks to the coaches and hugs the players. Well, that's Pat McAfee. But at least he's made huge movies. It was an international star. Yours is some garbage radio host that just happened to punt for your dumb team that no one that you mentioned their names of knew who you were. That'd be like me getting on the mic at the Garden and going look at here. All these guys are way more successful than me. They had the nerve to show up. Look at me. I'm on the radio. And look at these guys. They made films and been nominated for awards. And,
Let's get rid of them. Let's hate all these guys.
I'd imagine all three of them have been nominated for an Oscar of some sort, or at least a Golden Globe. Certainly Chalamet and Spike Lee, but I'd imagine Ben Stiller presents at the Oscars. I live here. I pay taxes in this state. I just thought it was the biggest hillbilly move. And this whole acting like a wrestler thing is annoying too. Everyone acting like a wrestler. Let the wrestlers be wrestlers. You don't have to be a wrestler. I did think that was weird, pointing them out. And I thought Ben Stiller articulated it kind of well too. We're the big stars in your podunk city? That's what you're trying to say? It's an NBA Eastern Conference Finals game. It's on national television, guys. It's on international television. Be happy that people are interested. You know?
You know what? Ben Stiller, a lot of nominations, but from things like, Emmys. Okay, from the show that you mentioned, Blockbuster Entertainment Awards. Okay. Nominated, didn't win. Mm. The Comedy Film Awards, the Golden Raspberries. You don't want one of those.
But he's been in that director, the Royal Tannenbaum stuff. I figured that maybe one of those movies was nominated or something like that. He certainly has been in stuff by directors and producers that tend to get things nominated.
He won a couple of MTV Movie Awards.
Oh, well, some would say that popcorn bucket is more valuable than 10 Oscars.
There you go.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to
tickets on their app and mass.
Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Paisley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Had last night off. They'll try to end a 5-game losing streak this evening when they open up a 3-game weekend series in Atlanta. Lucas Giolito will start. Sox are 4 games under 500. They've dropped 11 of their last 16. The New York Knicks remain alive in the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. They beat Indiana last night 111-94. Jalen Brunson scored 32 points in the win. Rick Carlisle's team fell behind early, and they never caught up.
Well, to start the game, we just didn't have the right level of force, the right level of attitude necessary, in this environment. And so, it was a bad start. We never had a lead in the game.
Game 6 is tomorrow night in Indianapolis. In hockey news, we have a rematch of the Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton finished off Dallas in 5 games last night, 6-3. The Oilers play Florida for the Cup beginning on Wednesday night. The Seattle Kraken have hired former Islanders head coach Lane Lambert. That leaves the Bruins and Pittsburgh as the only 2 teams still looking. And women's top seed Aryna Sabalenka among your early third-round winners today at the French Open tennis tournament. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. Introducing the new Awaken 180 Golden program. Awaken 180's medication-free, fast weight loss solution for those over 60. Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. It's a separation. Yeah. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5 The Sports.
Kendra's back, by the way. Kendra, people have been saying, why has Kendra not been around? And the thing is that she's been off. She's got a job as a accounts receivable person at a fairly large industrial Kleenex conglomerate. So
great.
She cannot come in every week.
Facial tissue.
Thanks for taking time off.
It's not the Kleenex brand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, excuse me. It's not the Kleenex brand. It's a
discount.
Just say it Puffs. It's Puffs.
They're feminine napkins.
All right.
Oh, so that's not Kleenex. Okay. All right. So Kendra is here, and so I got down this rabbit hole of these guys that have gotten. And Charlemagne the God's like the main one, and that guy's got balls. He'll just sit next to a dude. We talked about this with the Michael Strahan interview, and someone was like, since Ryan Clark planned out everything with Bill Belichick beforehand, maybe that happened with Michael Strahan? And I actually don't think it did. Here's why. Here's my last take on this interview. So Michael Strahan, his number one job being on that show, if you asked the producers, the audience must what with him, if you had to guess? I'll ask any of you. Just the audience must. Your number one job as a host of a morning show on television, like Good Morning America, the Today Show, is to be liked.
Yes.
Like people are supposed to like you.
Yeah,
like,
everyone comfortable.
You're likable.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're given that interview with Belichick, he doesn't want to talk about Jordan, and that's going to make things uncomfortable. So why did he not press him on it? Is because he's not good enough. It sucks because you have to – it's uncomfortable. I mean, as someone – you guys have both been in interviews a bunch of times with people where it's uncomfortable. You're asking things about something they don't want to talk about, and that gets uncomfortable, and it's hard. So you also have to be likable. So you have to do it in a way where you're not angering the audience either way, right? You're not you're not ignoring it, which would anger the audience. And you don't want to come off as being combative. And that takes talent. And there's very few people that can do that. So I think Strahan just wasn't good enough to do that. Like, he wasn't good enough to press it and make Bill look like the a-hole for not answering it. Now, the guy in CBS Morning News he was good enough to do that. He handled it really well because no one watching that, except for a few people that may or may not be related to Jordan Hudson, are really the only people that had a problem with that. But I went through this thing. And have you ever seen the podcast, Kendra, where it's like a white guy that wears a suit and he basically just sits down and asks insulting questions? Like, it's not even funny because he's just so obviously trolling. This kid pulled a gun on him. This rapper pulled a gun on him during one of them. And then that Adam 22 guy, like he's always getting people wanting to kick his ass. But it is pretty funny. Charlamagne the God would just sit there closer than me and Hardy, just looking at him,
watching,
and and he's really good at it. He came off like a real a-hole with Post Malone, and he kind of screwed that thing up. But other than that, like, I mean, he had that guy from Onyx, and the guy from Onyx is like, coming up at you. And he's like, all right. He's like, why are you coming after me? Birdman came into and said I could have rolled up on you. And he's like, yeah, I guess. And he's like, why are you coming after me? I'm the radio guy. Why aren't you coming after Trick Daddy or these other guys that made fun of him? But Kendra, there are two questions that we would want to ask you. And because you're younger than us, and you probably look like someone who's been on a boat.
You've been on a boat, Kendra?
I have.
Okay.
Now you're from Jacksonville. You've been on a boat.
I've been on some shrimping boats. I don't know about anything fancy.
Well, I don't need to know about the men and how tall they were. But I will ask you this, is that if they were little people, all the better. Two things. People were like, why did Stefan Diggs let everyone have like a camera? Why would he let anyone film? And my point to that was, well, that's the point. The point is Stefan Diggs is on that boat to be filmed. Everyone else that's on that boat is there to be filmed. You take away cameras, no one wants to be on that boat. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Okay. What was in the bag?
Pink cocaine.
Okay, which is not just cocaine. It's ketamine. Is it this Tussy stuff? Tussy stuff?
Yeah, it's like, I want to say it's like an MDMA situation. Like it's like.
So what we were told is cocaine, ketamine, and MDMA in some sort of like ratio that's not totally known. And that could go a lot of ways, Kendra. I don't know your experience with those drugs, but that can go a lot of ways. Like if it's all MDMA and it's pure MDMA, probably a pretty good time. If it's all ketamine, now I'm in a K-hole on this boat for God knows how long, and that's no fun. Dragging myself from place to place. My brain's working, but my body's not. And then if it's coke, just ask Hardy. I guess that's a good time. I can't speak on it.
For 15 minutes.
For 15 minutes, and then you just want more. Yeah. But people were saying it's like a light. There was a lighter in there. There's no lighter in there.
There's no lighter.
Right.
What about the logo on the bag, though? The Kush.
Not that I have any experience in this at all, but I will say anytime I've ever been at a party and there's been like a designer drug situation, they always come in like the nice branded bags from whoever you purchase them from.
Okay.
I personally, like I said, don't really partake in anything but weed or like the occasional mushroom.
Right, or fentanyl.
But yes, correct. But you guys have been
fentanyl.
I know that you guys understand that sometimes you wind up at parties that people
yes, of course. Still to this day.
Yeah, that you don't know how you got there around some of the people that you've been
still
with.
to this day, since I've been sober, I have certainly been around cocaine. Yes.
But they do come in those designer bags from time to time when you buy nicer drugs.
That's exactly. Well, Hardy was like, I wonder if I should take Adderall for my ADD, and I'm like, you had a coke problem, Hardy. No,
Adderall is so addictive.
That's the drug you should not be taking.
I was so addicted to Adderall in college.
Just let me try.
But that's okay. So I have had people reach out to me that seem to know, like, and I trust and I know them, and I believe they know. The bags, like Kendra said, the bag is of no consequence.
Okay, so all right,
like even if it's from a weed dispensary, like that means nothing. It means that they took a bag and put whatever in the bag from the weed dispensary. That means nothing, and everyone seems to be in unison. Certainly, at least MDMA, and most likely this Tussy stuff, which I had not heard of, and I guess hasn't really gotten to Boston that much. It's more of a Florida thing.
It is
but it is a Florida thing.
I understand that they're wealthy and, they're on the boat, but it still seemed like a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is when you have money, you can probably buy any quantity that you want. But the thing is, I don't know if you guys have been following, just for an example, I don't know if you guys have been following the Diddy case really closely, but a big part of the Diddy case was how they were taking MDMA pills shaped like Obama's face.
Yeah.
So I would say that's kind of part of this like designer drug craze is that you can pretty much get anything you want if you have the money to do so.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, you'll remember acid, even when we were in high school, like acid would have like pictures on it. Like it would be like every square. John knows.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they printed on paper with like they printed on the paper with the pictures. That's why that happens.
Yeah. No, I know. It's a piece of blotter paper.
Yeah.
And yes,
it's not that they're like sticking stickers on it. It's that it's printed on that paper.
Thank you.
That's not what I said. I'm well aware of how acid was put on the thing. Believe me, I was at this kid Lee's house, and these two idiots, Lee and Matt, had pieces of blotter and had a dropper with liquid acid in it, which maybe what, Hardy? 1 billion hits of acid is in that thing, and they're just hurdy-gurdy, like, doing it all around, and I'm like, I'm not getting within 30 miles of these guys. Like, and by the way, if you're taking one of these hits of acid, it's either beat or you're gone for a long time.
Right.
Because there's no real consistent measurement that they're doing on any of this stuff. I was there. They were like, yeah, man, we got this liquid acid, and it's like, and they just had a dropper, and the dropper is what? An inch long?
Yeah.
That's got to be 400 hits of acid. I don't know. And there's no measurement going on. And they're doing it that way. All right. The second thing is, so you're confident it's that Tusi.
Yeah.
And have you ever seen Tusi in Massachusetts, or is it basically Florida?
I've never seen it here, but I've seen it at parties in Atlanta.
Yeah. Okay. So Tusi I've never seen, and I know guys who've never seen it, but I do now am getting information from people that I do know, and there's no way they'd lie. And they're like, that's Tusi. Like, that's exactly what it is. So, okay, good. That matter's settled. Now, do you think that's a big deal if Stephon Diggs was on the boat with Tusi?
To be honest, everybody, like, the thing is that with a lot of these big party drugs, they're only in your system for 48 hours or so, especially if you drink a lot of water, work out like he does, which he's been putting on a post through it masterclass on Instagram, sweating that stuff out in case he gets some sort of drug test or something. I don't know if you guys follow him on Instagram, but he posted no less than 20 stories since all of this came out of him working out.
Yeah, that's what someone we had on. Yeah, Christopher Price said yesterday.
So that's the thing, is that everybody is, doing these party drugs in the off season or whatever. Maybe even some people during the season. Do I think it's a huge deal behind the scenes if you don't get caught? No, just because everybody's doing it. But the fact that you had a camera on you, no, like there's.
Well, that's the thing is that Bert's point was that the Patriots probably know. And that if he's got it almost sounds like high school, like at a private school, like if he lies to Vrabel, Bird thinks there's a chance they'll cut him.
Well, not a big chance, but a small chance.
Zolak did too during the midday show.
Yeah,
he
said that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is for me is that there's no way that he didn't know that camera was on him.
No, he knew the camera was on him.
Yeah, because the angle is so good that
it's professionally shot. If you didn't know this, he's making a documentary about his comeback.
Yeah,
from this
which
injury.
I heard that might be the excuse, or that it might be Cardi B filming a music video or something like that to get him out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm personally, I'm blonde, but I'm not that blonde.
Well, we've gone over this. You're a redhead.
Yes. Fred does think I'm a redhead.
Well, this came up organically because we were talking about how everyone thought my hair was dyed red.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then people thought I did. There was speculation. Remember, the caller said that I did it to impress either Kendra or the woman who's married to Dan Soder that we had on. That's on the public. Katie Nolan. There was this notion that since it was a Friday and Kendra was coming in, that I had dyed my hair in preparation for it. Would that have excited you, that if I dyed my hair red?
Just for the bit.
Yeah. All right. So,
by the way, I just got a text from Bird. He said, "Never done Adderall. I'll do it with you." And I just replied, "Thank you."
Well,
that's nice. A guy that's been through recovery for cocaine, you're willing to take that bullet for him, to share the drug with him.
Well, he's a friend.
Yeah, that's a great friend.
You'll never be so productive in your yard, Hardy. I swear to God.
See?
Yeah, until you got to get shipped off to rehab for 4 weeks, and
you
we
just
don't have you on the show.
You just got to drink a lot of water.
I can handle it now.
Exactly.
It's been a long time.
It's been long enough. Listen, it's been long.
I'm cured.
Yes. No one's ever gone back after 10 years away.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you again.
Yeah, it just kind of to my way it's been explained to me is you kind of just start even if you've gone like 14 years without doing anything, the minute you start, you kind of get right back to where you were that 14 years in.
Yeah,
there's not that gradual process.
No. You don't get to reset and start from zero.
Yes, that's what I've been told, and that's a good thing to keep in my mind. All right, and the second thing that I didn't know this was going on, but. Was it Ryan that put it in our...
Both Ryan and I.
Yeah, both of you just assumed that we knew Sydney Sweeney was doing it.
Yeah.
They're like, this whole Sydney Sweeney thing. Do you know what it is,
Yeah.
Kendra? Okay.
I saw some really crazy tweets about it.
All right,
yesterday.
so Sydney Sweeney is publicly taking her used bath water and putting it in soap. I'll just give you a GQ interview with her. Were you surprised that this had a very particular request for bath water, or did you have a feeling this might happen? She says, I honestly think it's really fun, full circle moment. because fans always joke about wanting my bathwater. The joke is I would drink her bathwater. I was like, this is just a cool way to have a conversation with the audience to give them what they want, but then also hopefully encourage them to take care of themselves in a healthy way. If I'm managing the career of Sydney Sweeney, who's red hot actress right now, I don't know if I'm suggesting this bathwater gimmick. I mean, you're an actress. You're doing well anyway. This sounds like something Sydney Sweeney should do 10 years from now, when maybe things are drying up a little bit, and now you sell this product. You go Paltrow with the whole vagina candle thing. My question is this, Kendra. You have been very open about what people want. In fact, it was a segment you did on your own Instagram account of your own free will of what people ask for. Have people ever asked for your bathwater?
1,000%.
Okay.
At least once a week.
Now, would you send your bathwater out?
For the right price, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, yeah.
That's like feet pics to me.
I've sold some dirty socks.
Yeah, but that's the same thing, is that dirty socks, like that. If you're a woman and you're on your grind and like you haven't hit that career part yet, I could understand like why not socks. Are you the one of you the people that told me about the bartender that was just like, fine, hand me the money and you can just look at my feet. I'll put my feet up at the bar.
That wasn't me.
Okay, so then I have a friend, and it might even been the girl that was just like, sure, here. The guy's like $500 to the bartender, and she's like, sure, we're closing up. And she just put her feet on the bar and let the guy look at him. She's like, I don't care. Because he loved it because she had just been on her feet for like 8 hours. So he's like, I want to see your feet. And he would bug her and bug her and bug her. And finally, she was just like, it was $750.
Oh, my God, are you kidding? Yeah, I would do that.
And he didn't even touch him. Just for $750, he just put. So these guys who love feet are real wealthy. They have a lot of disposable income.
Across the board.
Because like a hooker doesn't necessarily cost $750. Like full sex. Maybe $500. I mean, I've never paid for full sex.
What about a 50-50?
What's a 50-50?
I don't know, but I see it referenced in movies all the time.
Well, I know Around the World from Bachelor Party.
Okay.
Sure.
When you sold the socks, were there specific instructions? Did he want them like really rank?
Yeah.
What did he say?
I've sold a few of them, but they basically want you to wear them for like days on end.
Now, did you honor that, or did you kind of?
I did. I'll walk like a half marathon in them, and then I'll send them off.
So you wear the same socks every day and don't wash your feet?
No. What I'll do is, so I do like an appetizer tour where I'll like once a weekend walk from like my apartment to a side of town and get an app at like 3 or 4 different restaurants to kind of check out the neighborhood, try some food, that type of thing.
Right.
But it winds up being anywhere between 20 and 25,000 steps.
Okay.
So that is when I'll just, those are the socks.
Now, how did they ask you to package them?
Just in like a normal package.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want them in like a Ziploc bag or something?
Yeah, Ziploc bag to preserve.
Oh, no, I usually just toss them in the bag.
Oh.
Should I be Ziplocking these things? You guys are teaching me.
No, you're doing it all wrong.
Well, the idea would be if you wanted the scent and the texture of the used sock, that you would
I
want
don't
it.
even think about these things.
You're gonna lose.
Well,
some
why would
smell.
they want
You
your
just toss
sock
it in the
then?
bag. Yeah.
They would want it for the smell,
If
right?
you're throwing it in
I
an
don't know.
envelope, it's going to end up smelling like the FedEx truck.
Yeah, I don't want to think about
All
it.
right.
I just.
Kendra, let's go through.
Okay.
Let's just think about this logically.
Yeah.
Guy wants your sock.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. He asks you particularly to wear it while you walk. Wouldn't he therefore want it? It's like a coin. If you know these guys, they find like $1 million coins and they wash them, and now they're worth nothing. That's how coins are.
Hardy, you can't tell me. You're laughing. You can't tell me if someone offered you a dumb amount of money for stinky socks, you wouldn't do it.
No, I think it's funny that you wouldn't have the wherewithal to preserve the smell and the stink of the sock that somebody is paying you how much for?
Depends.
All right, what's
top price?
How much for you to wear depends.
I wouldn't do that. I would say
$50?
$250.
Okay. If someone's spending $250 on socks, you know what they want them for. They want to smell them. You should think about that and preserve the smell. Maybe take $5 out of the $250 that you're making. Go buy a box of Ziploc freezer bags and keep
You're
those
a real
on
salesman.
hand for when you put that. No, I'm servicing the customer.
Look, other women might get ahead of you.
I want a good
if you
Yelp
don't
review
take
after
care
that.
of
People
this
are going to
stuff.
start buying Hardy socks over mine.
Kendra, here's what I would do. If you're locally famous, $750 is my floor for these socks. And if it's a particular request, $1,500.
See, I'm not dumb, though. Here's what I do is I'll be like, okay, if this is something you're interested in, you can send me a donation to my Venmo so I know you're serious and you're not just some dude.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so you're not just
I
some
understand
dude.
you're getting your money.
Yeah, but then they're repeat customers.
Right, but I would still have the floor at $750.
I just don't think someone could continue to purchase something at $750,
Would you-
whereas if it's lower, they will.
Yeah, would you
you'd
rather
still get the $750? You get the $750 either way.
I'd rather sell 10 pair at $250 each than 3 pair.
But if it's to the same guy, it's still the same amount of money to the guy. Do you understand what I'm saying? And my business model would be this, and we're not even talking about socks anymore. We're just talking about business. My business model would be this. My floor is $750. If you like this product, if I send it to you and you like it, you're coming back. So I'd rather get you in at $750, assuming that there's a good chance that you're coming back, than get you at $250 with the certainty that you're coming back.
And to that end, Kendra, you should be taking more care in the packaging of these things.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least something that as of the Ziploc Corporation. All right. Adam has a correction on the LSD, and then I know we have to break. Adam, go ahead. Adam.
Hey, so, how you doing? How you doing?
Really good.
So good.
So,
Not tired.
Basically, when you guys were talking about the LSD and you said you had a bottle of liquid and he was laying it onto the blotter paper, LSD is broken down in micrograms.
Okay.
So, like 1 gram is 10,000 hits. Like a powdered gram. It's like a crystal. They take it with alcohol and they break it, and then they take that vial, so it's measured 100 micrograms on that piece of paper because you check the paper, see how much it absorbs.
Adam. These guys purchased acid in liquid form. I don't doubt that LSD is produced and mixed with alcohol, and that's how it's served. I can assure you that they had no idea how many drops were going on each square of blotter paper. Any way you want to slice it, they weren't doing it right. And if you got a vial of liquid acid just on your hand, say like by accident you put 4 drops of liquid acid on your hand, how long and how bad is that trip?
So the way LSD works is it's not necessarily going to be longer. It's just going to be more intense.
Okay.
Like for a shorter period of time.
Okay.
But if you did like 10, right, it'd be like super mind blowing, but like it's still only going to last you like 16 to 18 hours.
Right, but
only 16 to 18
but
hours.
the more intense, the more chances that could go sideways, correct?
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, because you get in your own head, and that's when you get the people running down the streets thinking they're Jesus. You know,
Adam, let's put it this way: they weren't wearing gloves. They weren't. There was no precautions being taken.
No beakers.
They're like carrying stuff around in their pockets. It was just stupid. They were idiots.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them's probably still in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, real morons with these drugs.
Thank you for the call, Adam, and also thank you, Nick, for accepting the charges on that call.
All right, very good. We'll be back in just a moment with Kendra and gambling. the line. That's the line for Boston, too.
Yes, absolutely.
I
We love
smack it
Danny
up,
Brown.
flip it, and
Rub it down.
But your flow's like Ronnie DeVoe.
Danny Brown on the Eric Andre show, the first time Eric Andre did Rapper Ninja Warrior. Did you ever watch that bit?
No, you know why?
Why?
He's not funny at all.
Oh, Eric Andre, you don't like?
Nope.
Okay, well, this bit, you wouldn't like them, but this bit's good. He got the
absurd-
freestyle while going through all these challenges.
Well, that's more Danny
and
Brown.
stuff. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is Danny Brown's freestyle while he's doing that is hysterically funny.
So, best line, I told Hardy this. Best line I've ever heard about Eric Andre came from Johnny Knoxville. They had a show that Johnny Knoxville and him were going to host, where basically it was about pranking people.
Yeah.
And Eric Andre quit because he felt he was getting abused by Johnny Knoxville. They asked Johnny Knoxville about it. He said, I think he's used to being the hammer and not the nail.
Oh, yeah.
And then to Knoxville's the hammer and the nail.
Exactly.
Because no one's a bigger nail than Knoxville. The man's sacrificed basically his physical body and his brain in order to get footage. Eric Andre does not do that in his opinion.
I wonder if that came out of The Last Jackass. Eric Andre's in The Last Jackass film. One of the stunts he's involved in. So I wonder if that's what it came from.
All I know is that they did a prank show.
Yeah.
Eric Andre has been interviewed about quitting it. He's not mad at Johnny Knoxville,
Yeah.
but he said Knoxville would be shocking me with tasers and stuff. And I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And when they asked Knoxville about it, I just thought the way he put it was great.
That is good.
I think he's using the hammer. He's used to being the hammer and not the nail.
Yeah.
And in this, you're both. You know, he was the nail.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a taser if you ever want to be tased on air. But 12, I was going to ask you really quick.
Yes, Kendra.
What was your favorite performance at Boston Calling? We didn't catch up about that.
Oh, we didn't. The shirt I'm wearing right now, Public Enemy.
I didn't see them.
Yes.
Okay.
Who was your favorite? I know
Cage
you were
the
talking about
Elephant
the food.
surprised me, to be honest. They put on a really good show, but I thought everyone was better than I thought they would be. I thought Avril was better. I thought Fall Out Boy was really good just because they played their old stuff. I was expecting them to play some of their new stuff, and I'm glad they didn't, and I was pleasantly surprised because I loved them when I was a kid.
Cage the Elephant has 18 hits, and you didn't realize they had that many hits.
Yes,
What are the
we had that
hits?
Conversation.
Trouble. You would know some of the songs. Mark Hamilton famously introduced them in the last days of BCN as being the last one-hit wonder WBCN will ever play because it was
Ain't No Rest for the Wicked.
No
That
Rest
was-
for the
yeah.
Wicked. That was the
Oh.
song, but they've had songs since then.
Yeah, they've had a ton.
That's Ain't No Rest for the Wicked is
That's
them.
Cage
I
the
always
Elephant,
thought
yeah.
it was that guy from Philadelphia. Harper and G Love.
Daylight Set.
They are daylight sets. And you know who will be a daylight set guy for the rest of his career and probably make a good living? Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
Ben Harper was the poor man's Jack Johnson. And G Love's special sauce was poor man's everything. But yeah, dude, I did nights at an alternative station. I was at the festival at noon. I was interviewing the
I
band.
did a long-form interview with G Love in Albuquerque. He wouldn't leave.
Oh yeah, G Love was there. G Love's there to kick off the day.
Yeah.
You didn't do any research for the interview. You're just there to get things started.
Sound checking at 10:30 in the morning.
Now, did I introduce him on stage? I was never that low in my career. No. I was at least Twilight was when I was introducing bands. At BCN, though, I did a really good job of ruining the only festival experience I had by my intoxication, which I still think I was slipped something in all seriousness. All right, Kendra, here we go. We unfortunately don't get to have you on as much as we would like, and that is nothing that you've done and nothing that we've done. That's just the reality of things right now. We're looking to maybe change that, so know that that you are very close to us in our hearts.
Love you
all right,
guys.
so here we go. Listen, gambling's going to dry up for a while here.
Yeah.
So let's get it when the getting's good. You can do anything you want. It's dealer's choice here.
I know that we don't have the longest segment here, so I'm going to
You
rapid
go.
fire my thoughts.
You go.
I think that the Pacers are going to close this series out in Game 6. I saw that the price this morning was 3.5. I'm not sure if you can get it at 3.5 anywhere else.
Ooh.
It is 4 currently. I think the Pacers come out there and they win big next game. I think that the Knicks, it's just Tyrese Halliburton is never going to shoot that bat again, and that's one thing about him is that every once in a while, especially this season, he would go out there and he would lay an egg. I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen again. Pascal Siakam, not going to lay another egg like he did last night. You just can't expect both of those guys to
Is
have,
Neesmith hurt?
Well, it depends. A lot of people think he is because of the way that he was benched in the first half last night. Afterwards, Rick Carlisle said, no, it was more a product of Mathurin playing well, but I don't buy it. I think he's hurt.
But everyone thought that, and Karl Anthony Towns, I do think is hurt, not injured. But that was a big concern with him last night, was that he was, kind of gimpy towards the beginning, but he got into it and he got into it quick. And I understand that through this playoffs, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns have been putting up great numbers. And I do owe Karl Anthony Towns an apology. Going into this postseason, I definitely doubted that he was capable of putting up the numbers that he has. And yes, it's been a great postseason for them. Yes, the Knicks have kind of won their championship when they beat Boston, but that road's got to end. I think, unfortunately, for, big market truthers, we're going to get a small market NBA finals. It's going to be, Indiana and Oklahoma City in this thing. And I do think that if you're looking at futures, personally, like myself, once these numbers kind of come out, I'm looking probably for OKC in 5 or 6, depending on the number. I might go 5 if it's, not too much of a less, like, if you're not going to make too much less money in 6, I'll probably go 6, but I do think it's probably a gentleman's, just because they are so outclassed with the talent that OKC has. Other than that, I know.
And by the way, I just got Pacers -3.5.
There you go. I think that that's a great pick. I think the
I
Pacers,
like that one.
I think the Pacers are going to kick their butt. They're at home. They play well at home, and I think Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are tired. Like, I get that Jalen Brunson has that dog in him, as the kids like to say, but eventually it's got to end, and I think that it ends here. Great season for the Knicks. I think that they might be in contention, depending on how much money they want to spend or who they're willing to give up for Giannis. He very clearly wants to be in New York, LA, Miami, a big market like that. I don't know if it's going to – I doubt it's going to be Brooklyn, but he's been very honest about wanting to stay in the East and not go in the West, but he's willing to go somewhere like LA. He clearly wants a big city. But things have got to change. You can also point some figures at the coaching. Is it just whichever way you want to go. But I do think 3.5 is the best bet that you're going to get for the rest of this series. And if you're looking at the finals, I think it's 5 depending on the number, 6 depending on if you're not going to lose too much cash. If you're looking at the NHL, I would say that probably I gave out a Panthers future last week. If you can still get it with good money, I think they repeat.
Okay.
All right.
Edmonton has home ice. Does that mean anything to you?
Yes.
No.
Okay, because they didn't last year.
I don't think it. I think that this Panthers team is just a wagon. They've got so much depth throughout their bench, whereas Edmonton doesn't.
What are the odds?
I got Panthers at -106.
Is anyone here rooting for the Panthers?
No.
That's a big thing that I've wondered through Boston, is just because Marchand's on the team. Like, I get that people here hate them because of what happened a couple of years ago. I can't either. But I also, I have loved the bit of McJesus not winning a Stanley Cup and being potentially the best player we've ever seen. Like, I think that bit is funny. So I'm torn between Satan and the devil of, do I continue to root against McJesus ever, having his name on the cup, or do I literally root for Satan and the Panthers?
Let's just do this. Edmonton needs this. Let Edmonton have it. They like hockey. Florida doesn't.
But then you lose the bit of Canada not having a Stanley Cup in a couple decades now?
Yeah, but why would I dislike Edmonton? Like, I want Edmonton to have that. Like, if it's Winnipeg is almost too small, then I'm like, but Edmonton, no one's gonna listen. Lauren Michaels, the ex-editor of Vanity Fair, all these guys that are from not Toronto are all like, they know. Like, no one in Ottawa is like, don't say anything about Ottawa, like, not being great. They're like, we know. Like, Edmonton knows they're a plain city plain, Plain, plain city in nowhere, Canada. They're aware. They have they're self-effacing.
What are the odds, by the way, on Marchand to win the Conn Smythe? I'm just wondering.
Oh, I'd have to look it up. That
Plus
wasn't even something. Yeah, I didn't even.
Well, he's not going to.
No, of course not. He has to go crazy in this series to have a chance.
He's really good in Game 7s, and he's also really good at game-winning goals. So perhaps
he is +6,000.
Yeah. I've got him +7,500 on DraftKings right now. Yeah, for me, it's basically like, do I hate Evander Kane more or do I hate Kachuk more? That's basically where I'm sitting with this. I hate both of them so much.
McDavid's been the best player on the planet for a long time. It's time for him. They almost came back and won it last year.
I just don't think that they have the depth. That's the issue. Like, him and Leon are basically what they have.
That's the problem with so many of my relationships. The depth's not there. I want you to feel it.
Hit it.
Yeah.
No, it's not. He's not being funny.
I'm being philosophical.
He's being sincere.
I'm being philosophical.
Okay.
Yeah. You hit some philosophical thing.
I don't have any of that.
Oh, that's too bad.
Where's the depth?
Yeah.
That's the new album. Where's the depth?
Where's the
Where's the depth? Why do people not feel like I feel?
Yeah.
And not like feel about things, just feel. Right in the proms. All right. Listen, Kendra. How do people get in touch with you, Kendra?
You can find me at Kendra Middleton pretty much everywhere but Twitter. It is Kenny with an I Middleton over there.
And are you wearing Zildjian headphones to flex for Hardy, who is a big fan of drums?
I'm actually flexing for 12.
Okay. Well, listen.
We're touring the Zildjian, next month, the factory?
2 days from now it'll be this month. But
Well,
we're
I
going
believe
on an excursion.
all of us are saying, like, where was our invite?
Yeah,
we would like to
seriously.
tour
Do
the
you guys
Zildjian.
want to go?
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
There you go. All
Do
right.
you actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
mind
What date are we doing it?
I don't know.
17th?
Something like that. Yeah.
Why don't you let those two do something? Why do you have to butt into it?
Yeah, you're right.
10
You
seconds.
Buttinsky.
12. I don't know if I ever told you this. A guy used to live up the hill from me in Roslindale.
Yeah.
His father, this guy was like 100 years old when I knew him. His father and his uncle
certainly dead.
forged some of the first Zildjian cymbals made in the United States in the backyard. The guy still had the cauldrons and everything
That's
that they used
amazing.
before they moved, I think, to Watertown and then over to where they are now.
Is he still alive?
Alan, I think Alan has passed.
Oh.
But he was a really nice guy. He had all kinds of cool like music artifacts and stuff in the house that he grew up in, including like these. This is
how
where
old's
my
his
father
kid?
used to boil the metals, and they would
How
make
old's
them
the
here.
kid?
Their team's been awesome.
Okay, there you go. All right, there you go. Kendra Middleton, thank you so much. We'll finish things up when we come back.
Sports Hub headlines presented.
going to end up going a little late, Adam, because we can't do a 3-minute break.
Understandable.
Yeah, that just is for the good of everyone.
Especially when we're talking about things going on in Boston this weekend.
You know what I'm doing, Adam?
What are you doing?
Adam could have done something again with me.
Oh, are you going to the Block Party show tonight?
I'm seeing Block Party tonight.
They're playing, what album they're playing in full?
They're not, I guess. I thought they were playing Silent Alarm.
I thought they were too, yeah. Huh.
Well, they did festivals before this, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe they are playing. If they play Silent Alarm in full, that would be great. But what I saw was the festivals, and I only really like 2 albums of those. Or there's those albums I love.
Yeah.
Love. In fact, one of their albums is one of my favorite albums of all time. But they're not playing a lot off of it. What are you babbling about?
I'll be interested to see to hear the review come Monday.
All right.
You know, it's a cool thing. I don't know if it's going to make it onto Hardy's list, but the old newsstand in the Harvard Square Pit reopening this weekend.
I passed there yesterday.
Yeah, it's the Boston Institute for Nonprofit Journalism and a whole bunch of other nonprofits getting together, and they're going to have like music and information. And
I don't like that's not a newsstand anymore. That was the coolest thing about Harvard Square.
But it's going to be part of it. It is going to be a newsstand again, but there's going to be a whole bunch of other cool stuff too. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a hipster newsstand.
There you go.
I don't know if we're going to get to any of the free
onion.
stuff because the big news is the concerts that got canceled. Shakira last night. Tonight, Jason Aldean at Fenway Park. Just hours before the Shakira concert was supposed to happen, the venue announced, due to unforeseen circumstances, the show is canceled. According to Live Nation, structural elements were identified as not being up to standard. The issues were discovered during a routine pre-show check, and all team members are safe. According to Live Nation, refunds will be available at your point of purchase. We apologize for the inconvenience. So, how inconvenient was it? CBS News did a little story on it saying, we're a little disappointed because we came from Connecticut to see Shakira. I'm from Barranquilla, Colombia, said Laura Beltran. We just got the news that the concert had been canceled like 9 minutes ago. Another Shakira fan said, I've never been to a concert. It's my first time. I'm 63 years old, and I'm disappointed.
You're 63 years old. You've never been to a concert, and you picked Shakira.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the whole idea, and we talk about it with Fenway series, like this is a destination starting this time of year. People are going to come to Boston for a long weekend, and they plan trips around it. So people all over social media are saying, thanks for refunding my tickets. How about my non-refundable hotel? How about the flights? The whole reason for coming to Boston this weekend, and especially for the Shakira people, you canceled a couple hours ahead of time. With Jason Aldean, you got a day's notice.
Read the small print, baby.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, read the small print. That's all covered.
All right, 12, just for you.
Shoot.
Sailing.
Go ahead, shoot me a time.
Sailing open house this weekend.
Oh, now you're talking. Where's this happen? Is this over at the my old friends there down in where is it?
DBS Sailing at the Bay program provides free sailing activities and are open to the public.
Yes. As Joe Murray would say.
ICA Watershed. Enjoy the Institute of Contemporary Art's waterfront venue offering large-scale art installations.
Free.
Yeah.
Absolutely free.
And I'm going.
I went to something at the Harvard Art Museum yesterday, and that was free.
Did you?
Wow.
Yes.
What was it?
It was sometimes at the Harvard Art Museum, they have apparently like these cocktail nights where it's free admission, and there were a ton of people there.
Lovely.
It was my idea. No, I liked it. I mean, it was some.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not drinking, man.
No, but
anything that, like anything where you're just not sitting there is fine with me. I don't care if it's a game on TV.
It's either that or sitting at home digging my nails into the arms of the couch.
Yeah, or else my knuckles are extremely white.
Enjoy your weekend.
Mr. Dunn.
I don't mind. I like art museums. I actually do. They had a bunch of stuff from the guy that did Scream, the Scream thing.
Oh, Edvard Munch.
Yeah, not a happy man.
No, not at all.
No.
The Scream will tell you that.
Yeah, I know. Well, everything was kind of a bummer with him. But they got stuff, they're BC stuff. Like, they got stuff before Christ.
Wow.
Before life mattered.
There is no before Christ. What are you talking about?
No. Christ, even in the Old Testament, is before Christ. Like, Adam and Eve were before Jesus. Dumbass.
Sure about that?
Old Testament, New Testament. Do you have zero? That's even common knowledge. You don't know what the Old Testament is and the New Testament? Wow. You don't know the difference? Why do Jews follow the Old Testament, stupid?
I am well aware. I was making a
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
How old is the earth, Adam?
It's as old as my church says it is. That's how old it is.
That's right. 4,000 years old. That's
right.
it.
There you go.
I think Adam's just backpedaling from his ignorant statement.
I think he just wants to go home.
John, I'm
Why?
like Carl Everett over here with the dinosaurs.
Why? What do you got going that's so great?
Say again?
What do you got going that's so great?
Free sailing.
Yeah, that's right. Is that today or tomorrow?
Oh, so I'm the only one who wants to stick around. All right. Very good. That'll do it for us, everyone. Have a